Hey there, welcome to another journey through time. But before we dive into the past, go ahead and hit that like button, share this with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Why? Well, we've got something special for tomorrow's episode, and you don't want to miss it. But enough about that for now. I want to know where you're tuning in from tonight. Are you nestled in your bed with a warm cup of tea? Or maybe you're on a train, commuting, letting the world pass you? Wherever you are, please drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Let's get this conversation started. Now, let's set the stage, shall we? Dim the lights, pull up your blankets a little tighter, and get ready for a story from a time long past, when kings, queens, and peasants lived in a world vastly different from ours. Picture this, it's 1300, and you've just woken up as the king of a vast, mist-covered land. You're not in a palace, not surrounded by gold, but in a modest chamber, feeling the chill of the morning air creep through the cracks in your walls. The bells ring out, not softly, not gently, but with the intensity of an alarm clock set to remind you of your duty. You swing your legs out of bed. Ouch! Your knees pop like old firewood, and you wonder how you're supposed to rule a kingdom when you can barely walk without feeling like you've been put together wrong. But you are the king, so up you go. The day begins full of decisions, struggles, and moments where you'll wish to stay under the covers. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to wake up as a medieval king? It might sound glamorous from afar, but the reality? Not so much. You'd probably start your day with a lot of pain, and not the kind that comes from an overzealous knight's sword, but from your own body aging before its time. You ring your bell to summon your attendants, and in walks a boy, barely 12, already carrying the weight of the royal chamber pots. This is your life, a mix of luxury and endless responsibility. So as your morning unfolds, you wonder, can you keep this up? What lies ahead for a king with aching bones and a crown that weighs far more than gold? Stick around, because this is only the beginning. Now that you're nestled in your blankets, settling in for this tale, let's dive deeper into the life of a medieval king who wakes up to the clang of bells echoing through the halls, reminding him that his duties have only just begun. It's 1300, when waking up as royalty was less about basking in grandeur and more about surviving the weight of a crown, both literally and figuratively. You've just stirred from your slumber, the bed beneath you far from the luxurious haven you may have envisioned. It's a relic of the past, thick wooden posts holding up a mattress stuffed with straw and feathers, not the memory foam you've grown accustomed to in the modern world. And that blanket? It's more like a woolen beast that could double as a shield. It smells of wet wool and forgotten nights, a constant reminder that comfort was a luxury for the fortunate few. But you're no mere commoner. You're the king, and these unpleasantries are part of the package. As you slowly sit up, a wave of regret washes over you. Every joint creak and every movement feels like a chore. Your knees sound like dry twigs breaking, your ankles a jigsaw puzzle pieced together by someone who's had too much wine. And here you are, 42 years old, which in the Middle Ages might as well have been 60. Time doesn't care who you are, what you've done, or how powerful you think you are. It takes its toll, and you, as the king, are no exception. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, the cold floor greeting you like an old enemy. The draft sneaks in under the door as though the air is conspiring to remind you of your place. But still, you rise. You must. The bells continue to toll, ringing through the stone walls of your chamber, a relentless reminder that the day waits for no one, not even a king. There's no time to linger in bed or reflect on the warmth you've lost. Your responsibility to the kingdom calls you, as it always does. You ring the small bronze bell by your bedside, the same bell you've used for years to summon your servants, knights, and advisors. Whether you're asking for a hot meal or declaring war, it makes the same noise. The sound echoes through the halls, and soon enough, a young servant appears. Anselm, a 12-year-old boy already starting to feel the weight of this medieval life. He's underpaid and overworked, yet he bows low before you, almost as if he expects the ground to open and swallow him up. "Good morning, Your Majesty," he mumbles, his voice cracking, likely from the hours he's spent serving other royals, cleaning up after them, and probably even carrying chamber pots. You grunt in acknowledgement. It's enough for him to proceed with his task, helping you into the robe that smells faintly of lavender and unspoken wealth. The fabric is too heavy for comfort, but it's a sign of your status and power. As he adjusts your robe, your eyes drift to the crown sitting on your dressing table. A solid gold piece, slightly crooked from that one unfortunate night when you'd had a few too many cups of wine at a banquet and decided you could toast to yourself. It was a disaster. The crown, the banquet, and the entire night. But the crown is still there, waiting and always waiting. It's not just gold. The weight of responsibility and decision-making will ripple through your kingdom and your people. And it's always a little dusty. You glance at it, a familiar feeling swelling in your chest, a mixture of pride and dread. The crown doesn't care that your knees are aching or that your brother-in-law has his eyes on your throne. It doesn't care that the peasants have complained about taxes for years or that the nobles want more land and power. It just waits, silent and judgmental. The silence is broken by Anselm clearing his throat nervously. "Shall I fetch the royal physician to inspect your foot, sire?" he asks. You glance down at your swollen foot, the red, unforgiving sign of your indulgence last night. It was the venison, no doubt, but you wave him off. Later. For now, you need to feel like a king again. With some effort, you stand and make your way to the window. The room is cold, and the thick stone walls offer no genuine warmth. The chill creeps into your bones, but the mist curls over the hills outside, and the rooftops glisten with frost. The town is waking up, just like you, but the day's weight is already beginning to settle in your chest. Your kingdom, your people, are out there. They wait for your decisions and your leadership, and you must deliver. You sip from the goblet left from last night, lukewarm wine, the taste of regret still lingering on your tongue. Somehow, despite the aching joints, the loneliness, and the endless burden of decisions, you still feel like a king. The wine doesn't help. It's the crown that gives you the feeling. But even the crown can't erase the exhaustion, the sense of living in a constant state of high alert. You think about the feasts, battles, and toasts, but you also think about the paperwork, petitions, and requests for more land, money, and loyalty. Anselm hovers nervously by your side, brushing away the lint on your robe that may or may not be alive. You don't stop him. He needs to feel useful, and you need someone to absorb the dread that's building up in your chest. And then the moment arrives, the moment you've been dreading. 2 more attendants enter the room, carrying hot water and oils, ready to start the day's grooming ritual. One of them murmurs something you can't quite hear, and you raise an eyebrow. "What's wrong with my face?" you ask. They freeze, eyes wide, before stammering that it's morning dew, the court language for dark circles and the beard you've been too busy to care for. You nod, letting the ritual continue. You sit perfectly still, not daring to twitch or sneeze, as the men delicately shave you with a blade so dull it could be called ceremonial. Every stroke is calculated, and every second feels like an eternity. You are the king, yes, but in this moment you are at the mercy of these men. Their hands tremble, their focus absolute. You are just a relic being cared for, a symbol of power being polished for the public to see. Finally, the ritual ends, and you don't reach for the crown yet. You hold it, feeling its weight in your hands. It's heavier today, you wonder, can you still carry it? And then the door swings open. In strides your Lord Chancellor Everard, voice already mid-sentence. His powdered wig is askew, and he carries scrolls in hand as if they were life itself. His efficiency is both admirable and exhausting. He doesn't wait for an invitation. He never does. You sit there, crowned but not yet truly king, and listen as Everard begins the day's endless parade of petitions, complaints, and requests. And so it begins, another day in the life of a medieval king. Section 4. The day drags on, the weight of the decisions pressing deeper into your bones. You've barely had a moment to breathe, and the hour is growing late. The sun has dipped low, casting long shadows over your chamber as you sit at your desk, buried in scrolls, letters, and petitions. The crown on your head, once a symbol of glory, now feels like an anchor, pulling you further into the depths of your responsibilities. You should feel powerful, but all you feel is exhaustion, a weariness that seeps into your very soul. Your mind drifts back to the petty disputes and the ridiculous claims you've dealt with today. A goat theft turned witchcraft accusation. a border war that's now more of a blood feud than anything else, and a bishop asking for a new chapel roof made of lead when the kingdom can't even afford to feed its people. It's not what you imagined when you first donned the crown. When you first became king, you were filled with dreams of conquest, of glory, of ruling a kingdom that would echo through history. Instead, you're here, stuck in a never-ending cycle of problems, one after another, all demanding your immediate attention. You rub your eyes, trying to fight the fatigue that's creeping in. You haven't had a full night's sleep in days, and it's starting to show. The bags under your eyes are heavier than the crown, and your shoulders ache from the weight of the decisions you've made, decisions that you know will haunt you even if no one else remembers them tomorrow. You want to scream. You want to throw the scrolls across the room and leave it all behind. But you don't. You can't. You are the king, and kings don't get to quit. The door opens, and you don't need to look up to know who it is. Everard's voice cuts through the silence of the room. "Your Majesty," he begins, his tone as steady and unwavering as ever. "There's word of unrest in the town of Alderwick. The villagers have gathered in protest against the recent tax increase. They're calling for your presence, demanding that you speak to them." You groan inwardly, massaging your temples. Another problem. Another fire to put out. You've had enough fires for one day, for one lifetime, really. You were hoping for a quiet evening, perhaps a moment to enjoy a drink and forget about the world for just a second. But no, that's not the life you've chosen. What is the nature of this protest, you ask, even though you already know the answer. It's always about taxes. It's always about money, or the lack thereof. The people never seem to understand that you can only stretch a kingdom's resources so far before it snaps. You may be a king, but even a king can't create gold from nothing. Everard hands you a scroll, the parchment slightly crumpled from the hurried delivery. You take it, unrolling it slowly, scanning the contents. The villagers, it seems, are angry enough to march to your gates and demand an audience, angry enough to risk their lives in protest. They've had enough of the taxes, the heavy burdens placed on their backs. They want relief, and they want it now. You clench your jaw, the anger building in your chest. You can understand their frustration, you can empathize with it even. But you also know that they don't have the full picture. They don't see the kingdom's coffers, empty and hollow, like the shell of an old tree. They don't understand the politics, the wars, the ever-growing demands from the nobles and clergy. They don't know that you're doing the best you can with what little you have. But none of that matters, not to them. All that matters is their suffering. You rise from your chair, pushing the scroll aside. "Prepare the guards," you say, your voice firm. "I'll go to Alderwick myself." Everard hesitates for a moment as if considering offering advice, but then he simply nods. "As you wish, Your Majesty." You walk toward the window, gazing out at the darkening sky. The kingdom lies before you, spread out like a map you've come to know too well. The people, the land, the struggles, they are all part of you now. You've given your life to this kingdom, to these people, but the truth is, you never asked for it. You didn't ask for the constant weight, the endless responsibility that comes with the crown. You never imagined that it would cost you so much. You step away from the window, your feet heavy as you walk toward the door. As you reach for the handle, you feel a familiar pang of dread in your chest. This is what it means to be king. To be torn between the duty you owe to your people and the crushing toll it takes on your own soul. You push the door open, stepping into the hallway where your attendants are waiting. The air is colder now, the weight of the coming confrontation already settling over you. You make your way down the winding corridors of your castle, past the guards who salute you with empty eyes. They've seen it all before. The royal procession, the protests, the petitions. They've seen you walk through these halls with the same tired expression every day, but they don't understand. They don't see the cost. The ride to Alderwick is long, the journey taking you through fog-covered hills and dense woods. The wind howls around you and the chill cuts through your cloak like a knife. You try to distract yourself to focus on the task ahead, but it's hard. It's always hard. Your mind keeps returning to the same question: am I doing the right thing? As the town of Alderwick comes into view, you see the gathering crowd, their faces twisted in anger and desperation. You feel the weight of their stares, the weight of their judgment. They want answers, and they want them now. They don't care that you've been trying to hold the kingdom together with both hands, that you've been doing everything you can to keep the kingdom from falling apart. All they see is their own suffering, their own needs. You stop your horse in front of the crowd, and for a moment, everything is silent. They're waiting for you to speak, to offer them something. Anything. You take a deep breath, trying to steady yourself, and then you do what you've always done. You speak. People of Alderwick, you begin, your voice carrying over the crowd. I hear your complaints, I understand your anger, but know this, I am with you. I am doing everything I can to ease the burden that we all share, but we must all work together as one. We must all bear the weight of this kingdom together. The words come out more forcefully than you intended, and you can feel the tension in the air, thick and heavy. You know that no matter what you say, it won't be enough. The anger is already in the air, swirling like a storm, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. But you will try. You have to try. The crowd murmurs, some nodding, some still glaring. You've said your piece. You've made your stand. But the question lingers in the back of your mind, is it enough? And in that moment, as the cold winds whip around you, you realize that it's never enough. The crown weighs heavily on your head, and no matter how hard you try, the kingdom will always demand more. And so will you. The day drags on, the weight of the decisions pressing deeper into your bones. You've barely had a moment to breathe, and the hour is growing late. The sun has dipped low, casting long shadows over your chamber as you sit at your desk, buried in scrolls, letters, and petitions. The crown on your head, once a symbol of glory, now feels like an anchor, pulling you further into the depths of your responsibilities. You should feel powerful, but all you feel is exhaustion, a weariness that seeps into your soul. Your mind drifts back to the petty disputes and the ridiculous claims you've dealt with today. A goat theft turned witchcraft accusation. It's a border war now, more of a blood feud than anything else. And a bishop asking for a new chapel roof made of lead when the kingdom can't even afford to feed its people. It's not what you imagined when you first donned the crown. When you first became king, you were filled with dreams of conquest, glory, and ruling a kingdom that would echo through history. Instead, you're here, stuck in a never-ending cycle of problems, one after another, all demanding your immediate attention. You rub your eyes, trying to fight the fatigue that's creeping in. You haven't slept a whole night in days, and it's starting to show. The bags under your eyes are heavier than the crown, and your shoulders ache from the weight of your decisions. Decisions you know will haunt you, even if no one else remembers them tomorrow. You want to scream. You want to throw the scrolls across the room and leave it behind. But you don't. You can't. You are the king. And kings don't get to quit. The door opens, and you don't need to look up to know who it is. Everard's voice cuts through the silence of the room. Your Majesty, he begins, his tone as steady and unwavering as ever. There's word of unrest in the town of Alderwick. The villagers have gathered in protest against the recent tax increase. They're calling for your presence, demanding that you speak to them. You groan inwardly, massaging your temples. Another problem. Another fire to put out. You've had enough fires for one day, for one lifetime. You were hoping for a quiet evening, a moment to enjoy a drink and forget about the world for just a second. But no, that's not the life you've chosen. What is the nature of this protest, you ask, even though you already know the answer? It's always about taxes. It's always about money or the lack thereof. The people never seem to understand that you can only stretch a kingdom's resources so far before it snaps. You may be a king, but even a king can't create gold from nothing. Everard hands you a scroll, the parchment slightly crumpled from the hurried delivery. You take it, unrolling it slowly, scanning the contents. The villagers are angry. Angry enough to march to your gates and demand an audience. Angry enough to risk their lives in protest. They've had enough of the taxes and heavy burdens on their backs. They want relief, and they want it now. You clench your jaw, the anger building in your chest. You can understand their frustration. You can empathize with it even, but you also know that they don't have the whole picture. They don't see the kingdom's coffers, empty and hollow like the shell of an old tree. They don't understand the politics, the wars, and the ever-growing demands from the nobles and clergy. They don't know that you're doing the best you can with what little you have. But none of that matters, not to them. All that matters is their suffering. You rise from your chair, pushing the scroll aside. "Prepare the guards," you say, your voice firm. "I'll go to Alderwick myself." Everard hesitates momentarily, as if considering offering advice, but then he nods. "As you wish, your majesty." You walk toward the window, gazing out at the darkening sky. The kingdom lies before you, spread out like a map you've come to know too well. The people, the land, the struggles are all part of you now. You've given your life to this kingdom, to these people. But the truth is, you never asked for it. You didn't ask for the constant weight, the endless responsibility that comes with the crown. You never imagined that it would cost you so much. You step away from the window, your feet heavy as you walk toward the door. You feel a familiar pang of dread in your chest as you reach for the handle. This is what it means to be king. To be torn between the duty you owe to your people and the crushing toll it takes on your soul. You push the door open, stepping into the hallway, where your attendants are waiting. The air is colder now, the weight of the coming confrontation already settling over you. You make your way down the winding corridors of your castle, past the guards who salute you with empty eyes. They've seen it all before. The royal procession, the protests, the petitions. They've seen you walk through these halls daily with the same tired expression, but they don't understand. They don't know the cost. The ride to Alderwick is long, taking you through fog-covered hills and dense woods. The wind howls around you, and the chill cuts through your cloak like a knife. You try to distract yourself and focus on the task, but it's hard. It's always hard. Your mind keeps returning to the same question: am I doing the right thing? As the town of Alderwick comes into view, you see the gathering crowd, their faces twisted in anger and desperation. You feel the weight of their stares, the weight of their judgment. They want answers, and they want them now. They don't care that you've been trying to hold the kingdom together with both hands and doing everything you can to keep the kingdom from falling apart. All they see is their suffering, their own needs. You stop your horse in front of the crowd, and for a moment everything is silent. They're waiting for you to speak, to offer them something, anything. You take a deep breath, trying to steady yourself, and then you do what you've always done. You speak. "People of Alderwick," you begin, your voice carrying over the crowd. "I hear your complaints, I understand your anger, but know this: I am with you. I am doing everything I can to ease the burden that we all share, but we must all work together as one. We must all bear the weight of this kingdom together." The words come out more forcefully than you intended, and you can feel the tension in the air, thick and heavy. You know it won't be enough no matter what you say. The anger is already in the air, swirling like a storm, and you can do nothing to stop it. But you will try. You have to try. The crowd murmurs, some nodding, some still glaring. You've said your piece, you've made your stand. But the question lingers in your mind: is it enough? And in that moment, as the cold winds whip around you, you realize it's never enough. The crown weighs heavily on your head. No matter how hard you try, the kingdom will always demand more. And so will you. As you stand before the crowd, the air thick with tension, the weight of their eyes upon you, you can't help but feel the exhaustion settling into your bones. You've spoken your piece, tried to calm the storm with words, but there's no denying it. You've seen this before. This isn't the first time people have approached you with anger, hunger, and frustration. It certainly won't be the last. But this time, something is different. The mob isn't just angry. They're desperate, and desperate people don't listen to reason. They don't care about logic. They only care about change. Immediate change. You look out over the sea of faces in front of you, some filled with resentment, others with pleading eyes, searching for signs that you're on their side. They're holding their breath, waiting for you to say something that will make it all better and erase the ache in their stomachs and the fear in their hearts. But there's nothing you can say that will make it all disappear. Not today. The wind picks up, swirling around you, tugging at your cloak, and for a moment, you feel a brief flash of fear. You know this isn't just about the taxes. This is about everything. The promises you failed to keep, the weight of your decisions, the growing divide between the nobility and the peasants. The cracks in your kingdom are beginning to show, and they can all see it. The cracks are in your words, actions, and how you hold your crown. You open your mouth to speak again, but before you can talk, a voice from the crowd cuts through the silence. "The king has failed us," a man shouts, his voice rough with anger. The words hit you like a blow to the chest. You try to ignore it, but you feel the sting. They've been whispering about you behind your back, and now to your face. You're not the hero they wanted. You're the king they got. And they're beginning to realize it. Another voice rises louder this time. "Our children are starving. We can't afford these taxes anymore." The cries of the people grow, the words cutting through the night like knives. There's a fire burning in their eyes, a fire you know you can't put out with just a few well-chosen words. The flames of rebellion are stoked, and you're standing in the middle, helpless to stop it. You feel a wave of frustration wash over you. The weight of the crown and the responsibilities that come with it seem unbearable now. You thought you could control this. You thought you could make them understand that this was necessary and that the kingdom would crumble without these taxes. But they don't care about your reasons. They care about their hunger. They care about their families. They care about the reality of their lives, the lives you've been too busy to notice. And in that moment, you realize that the people are right. You've been so focused on maintaining control, on holding on to your power, that you've lost sight of the most essential thing: your people. You've failed them. And now, they're making sure you know it. The crowd is growing louder now, their shouts turning into an almost deafening roar. You can see the anger in their eyes, feel the heat of their fury, and know that this is no longer just about taxes. This is about something more profound that has been simmering beneath the surface for years. They're not just angry about the money. They're angry because they've been left behind, forgotten, while you've lived in your castle, surrounded by luxury. They're angry because you promised them better, but all they've gotten is more suffering. You take a deep breath, steeling yourself against the tide of emotions that threatens to overwhelm you. You have to find a way out of this, a way to calm the storm before it destroys everything you've built. You raise your hand, signaling for silence, though you know it's a futile gesture. The noise doesn't stop, it only grows louder. But then, something shifts. A figure steps forward from the crowd. A woman, her face lined with years of hardship, her eyes blazing with determination. She's not shouting, she's not demanding anything. She's simply standing there, looking at you with a mix of defiance and something else, something more dangerous. "Hope. I don't want your promises," she says, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "I want action. We've heard your words. We've seen your empty gestures. Now we want change." You freeze. Her words hit harder than anything you've heard today. Change. They don't want your words. They don't want your apologies. They want results. And they want them now. For a moment, there's only silence. The crowd watches you, waiting for your response. You can feel the eyes of every person in the town on you. The weight of their expectations, hopes, and anger is crushing. You've been standing here trying to hold everything together, but now you're not sure what to hold on to anymore. The kingdom? The throne? Your sense of duty? Or your desire to survive this? The truth is, you don't have the answers. You don't know how to fix this. You don't know how to turn things around. You don't know how to make these people trust you again. And that realization cuts deeper than anything the crowd has thrown at you. You take another breath, steadying yourself, and step forward, putting yourself on the line. This is it. There's no turning back now. "I hear you," you say, your voice steady but filled with an undercurrent of urgency. "I see your pain, and I will do everything in my power to make this right. But I need you to understand that we are doing this together. We rise and fall as one, and the kingdom needs you just as much as you need it." For a moment, it's as if time stands still. The crowd is watching, waiting for you to say something more, something that will change everything. And then, slowly, the murmurs begin. They're not cheers, not yet, but they're not shouts of anger either. They're quieter now, more uncertain. The woman in the front of the crowd watches you closely, her gaze unyielding. "We'll see if your actions match your words," she says, her voice filled with challenges. Then, without another word, she turns and walks away. leading the crowd back toward the town. You stand there for a long moment, your heart pounding and your mind racing. You've taken the first step, but the road ahead is uncertain. The crown weighs heavier on your head than ever, the weight of their expectations now mixed with the crushing reality of your doubts. You know this won't be the last protest. This won't be the last time you're forced to face the consequences of your decisions. But for the first time today, you feel like you've taken a step towards something tangible that might just change the future of your kingdom. But change doesn't come easy. And the battle to win back their trust, to hold on to the throne, has only just begun. The night has fallen over Alderwick, and the crowd that once stood before you has dissolved into the shadows, their anger lingering in the air like smoke. You've done what you can and offered your words, but you know that words alone won't keep the kingdom together. It's as if the very walls of your castle are closing in on you, the weight of the people's expectations pressing against your chest. You feel trapped in a web of your own making. Each decision you've made over the years leading you to this moment, a moment where you no longer know how to fix things and no longer feel the power you once did. You stand there in the cold, staring out at the town's darkened streets. The people are going home, returning to their lives and worries. But not you. No, you have no place to go, no refuge to seek. Not here, not in the castle, not in the kingdom. You're the king, the ruler, but somehow you feel more like a prisoner than a sovereign. The crown weighs heavier now than ever, the gold tarnished by the realization that your kingdom is slipping through your fingers. The echo of the woman's words still lingers in your mind. We'll see if your actions match your words. It was a challenge, a gauntlet thrown at your feet, daring you to pick it up. And in that moment, you know she's right. The people are watching and waiting and won't be satisfied with empty promises. They want action. They want change. But the question now is, can you deliver? You walk back to the castle, your footsteps heavy, your thoughts swirling. The weight of the day's events hangs over you like a storm cloud, dark and unyielding. You know that this is just the beginning. The protest in Alderwick was only a glimpse of what was to come. The kingdom is unraveling, and you can feel it. The nobles, clergy, and commoners are all pushing against you, pulling in different directions. And you're standing at the center, trying to hold it together with your willpower. Inside the castle, you go to your study, where you've spent countless hours poring over maps, letters, and scrolls, trying to keep everything in order. But tonight, the walls close tighter, the air thicker, as if the castle is suffocating you. You sit behind your desk, staring at the parchment before you, but your mind is elsewhere. It's racing, filled with the faces of the people you've seen today, their frustration, their pain. You try to focus, to force yourself to think of a solution, but it's hard. It's hard because you know that it won't be enough no matter what you do. A knock at the door breaks your train of thought, and you look up, startled. "Enter," you say, your voice more tired than you intended. The door opens, and Everard steps inside, his face as impassive as always. He's holding another stack of papers, more requests, petitions, and problems, the usual. But tonight, you don't feel like dealing with it. You don't feel like making decisions or answering questions. You want to escape, but you can't. Everard clears his throat, and you can see the concern in his eyes, though he's careful not to show it too openly. "Your Majesty," he begins, his voice cautious. "There's a word from the capital. The nobles are gathering, and they want to discuss the recent unrest. They're requesting a meeting with you, a private audience." You don't answer immediately, and you stare at the papers on your desk, the ink smudged, the words blurring together. The nobles. Do they want to discuss the unrest? It's laughable. The very people who have been living in luxury while the common folk starve are the ones now asking for a meeting. You feel anger rise within you, but you push it down, burying it deep inside. You don't have time for that right now. You don't have time for any of this. Finally, you look up at Everard, trying to steady your breathing. "Tell them I'll meet with them tomorrow," you say, your voice cold, detached. "But tell them to bring solutions, not just complaints. I don't have the time or patience for their politics right now." Everard nods, though his expression tightens slightly. "Understood, Your Majesty, but perhaps we should consider." "No." You cut him off, your voice sharper than you intended. "We'll discuss it tomorrow. I've had enough for today. Everard hesitates, but only for a moment. He knows better than to argue. As you wish, Your Majesty. With that, he turns and exits, leaving you alone once again. You sit there silently, the room growing colder as the night continues. The weight of the crown, the kingdom, and everything in between presses down on you harder than ever. The silence feels suffocating, and for a moment, you wonder if it would be easier to walk away, to leave it all behind and disappear into the night, like so many kings before you. But you can't. You know you can't. You're the king. The people may not see it, but you're holding everything together. You're the one who has to keep this fragile kingdom from falling apart. But as you sit there, staring at the flickering candle on your desk, you feel the cold weight of doubt creeping in. Can you hold it all together? Can you save the kingdom, or are you just delaying the inevitable? The thought haunts you, gnawing at the edges of your mind, and you feel truly alone for the first time in years. The burden of the crown is heavier now, more than ever, and you can't shake the feeling that no matter what you do, it won't be enough. The people are angry, the nobles are demanding more, and your heart is torn in 1,000 directions. You stand up suddenly as if trying to shake off the weight that's settled on your shoulders. The room spins slightly, the fatigue finally catching up with you. You walk to the window, the cold night air rushing in as you open it, taking a deep breath. The town below is quiet now. The protests have died down, but you know it won't last. It never does. The wind howls through the trees, and you close your eyes for a moment, feeling the cold bite against your skin. It feels like a warning, like something is coming, something you can't stop. The people want change, they want relief, and you know they won't wait much longer for it. You turn away from the window and walk back to your desk, picking up the scrolls in front of you, feeling the weight of each one like a stone in your hands. You have decisions, and you know they won't be easy. There are no easy answers here. There never were, but you have to try. You have to keep going, no matter how heavy the crown feels or how alone you are. Because you are the king, kings don't get to walk away. Not now, not ever. The castle is eerily quiet as you sit alone in the dim light of your study, the flickering candle casting long shadows across the stone walls. The weight of the day lingers, a thick, suffocating presence that you can't shake off. You've had enough meetings, enough petitions, enough demands. The crown feels heavier every minute, pressing down on your head like 1,000 pounds of responsibility. And as the night drags on, you realize that this is the price of power. A never-ending cycle of problems that only grow larger the more you try to solve them. Your thoughts are a tangled mess, swirling between the chaos of the protest in Alderwick, the nobles' demands, and the growing unrest in your heart. You wanted to be a king who would go down in history, a ruler who brought prosperity and peace to the kingdom. But all you've managed to do is tread water, barely keeping your head above the rising tide of discontent. And the more you think about it, the more you wonder if there's any way to change your course. Is it even possible to fix this mess? Or is this just the beginning of the end? You stand up, pacing the room in frustration. The silence of the castle is deafening, the stillness mocking you, reminding you of how little control you have. Every decision you make seems to only lead to more problems. The kingdom is fractured, the people are restless, and the nobles are circling like vultures, waiting for any sign of weakness. You've been trying to keep it together and hold on to something, anything, but the cracks are starting to show, and you can feel it. You can feel the ground slipping beneath your feet. The door creaks open, and you turn, expecting to see one of the servants, perhaps Everard, with another stack of papers or a new crisis to address. But it's not Everard. It's someone else. Someone you hadn't expected. Your heart skips a beat as the figure steps into the room. It's the woman from Alderwick who challenged you so openly in front of the crowd, the one who called your words empty, who dared you to back them up with action. She stands there now, her eyes unwavering, filled with that same fire that had burned through the crowd earlier. You don't know how she got in, but the fact that she's standing there in your private study speaks volumes. She's not afraid. And for a moment, you wonder if she's more powerful than you, the king, because she's willing to face you in your castle without flinching. What do you want? You ask, your voice rough with the day's frustration. It's not an invitation. It's not a question. It's a challenge. She doesn't flinch. I want you to fix this, she says, her voice steady and sure, as if she's already won. You've heard the people. You know what they want, but you haven't done anything to make it happen. You've promised them a better life, but you've given them nothing but more of the same. I want to know if you'll change things or if you're just another king who says the right things when it suits him. Her words hit harder than you expected. You try to hold your ground, to keep the anger from rising in your chest, but you can feel it bubbling up. How dare she come into your study and private space and speak to you like this? She's just a commoner, a woman from the protest, and yet, in this moment, she's more powerful than you. I've been doing what I can, you snap, your voice growing louder, the frustration finally spilling over. Do you think I'm not trying? Do you think I don't see what's happening? I'm the one who's been fighting for this kingdom and the people. Do you think it's easy to rule? You think I'm not doing everything possible to keep it all from falling apart? But she doesn't back down. She steps closer, her gaze never wavering from yours. That's just it. You think you're doing everything you can, but you're not. You're too busy worrying about the nobles, clergy, and taxes. You're too busy holding on to power to see the suffering people. You're too busy protecting your crown to do what's right for the kingdom. Her words cut through you like a blade. She's right. You've been so caught up in maintaining control and keeping the kingdom from falling apart that you've forgotten who you're fighting for. The people, the ones who built this kingdom, who fought for it, who gave everything they had for it. And what have you done for them? You've promised them better, but you haven't delivered. You've given them more taxes, suffering, and empty promises, and now they're turning on you, and you don't know how to stop it. You're standing there in your castle, surrounded by everything you've worked for, and for the first time you wonder if it was ever worth it. If the crown, the power, the control, was it all worth your price? The people want change, they want action, but all you've given them is words. Words that mean nothing, words that ring hollow. I don't know how to fix it, you admit, the words slipping out before you can stop them. It's a vulnerability you've never shown before, not to anyone. Not even to yourself. I don't know what to do anymore. The woman doesn't look surprised. She doesn't look sympathetic either. She watches you, her gaze sharp, appraising. That's the first honest thing I've heard from you all day, she says. But now that you've admitted it, maybe you'll finally see the truth. You can't do it alone. No king ever can. Her words hang in the air and their weight sinks into you for a moment. She's right. You can't fix this alone. You've been trying to shoulder it all and hold the kingdom together with your own two hands, but you're only human, and the people know it. They see you for what you are, just another flawed and broken man trying to keep a kingdom from collapsing. And they're not going to wait forever. What do you want from me, you ask, your voice quiet now, the anger replaced by something else, something darker, a fear you can't shake. I want you to lead, she says. I want you to show the people that you're not just a king in name, but a king who will fight for them. I want you to prove to them that you're more than just your crown. She turns to leave, but before she does, she glances back at you, her eyes piercing. You have one chance, Your Majesty. Don't waste it. With that, she leaves you alone in the study, her words heavy in the silence. The fire crackles in the hearth, but the warmth feels distant and cold. And you realize that she's right. You've been holding on to the wrong things, power, control, status, but what you need is to fight for the people. But can you? Can you fight for them and still keep the kingdom intact? And more importantly, are you willing to lose everything, even your crown, to do what's right? The night feels impossibly long. You sit in the dim light of your study, the fire in the hearth flickering weakly, offering little warmth against the cold that has settled deep into your bones. The silence around you is oppressive, almost suffocating. You've been alone with your thoughts for what feels like hours, but the weight of the decisions ahead has made it impossible to find any real clarity. The woman's words echo in your mind like a drumbeat you can't ignore. You have one chance, Your Majesty. Don't waste it. They've left a mark, a wound that cuts deeper than any physical injury. You can't shake the feeling that you've reached a crossroads, a point of no return. You've been walking this tightrope for years, balancing between power and responsibility, between the kingdom's expectations and the people's suffering. And now you're teetering on the edge, uncertain which way to turn. There's a part of you that wants to push it all away, to retreat into the safety of your castle, to shut out the noise and the demands and the chaos. But you know you can't. The kingdom is crumbling, and if you don't act, it will all come apart. You stand up suddenly, pushing the chair back so forcefully that it almost topples over. The air is thick with tension, and you can't sit still any longer. The weight of the crown feels unbearable tonight. You're supposed to be a king, a ruler, someone who commands respect and loyalty, but tonight you feel more like a man on the verge of losing everything. Your mind races. The protest in Alderwick, the nobles' demands, the bishop's requests, the increasing unrest across the kingdom, it all feels like too much. And in the midst of it all, you wonder, am I even the right person for this? You've tried to be a good king, a fair king, but what if that's not enough? What if it never was? You walk to the window, the cool breeze from the night air rushing in, but it does nothing to clear your head. The stars above seem distant, unreachable, and for a moment you long for the simplicity of a life without the weight of the crown, without the constant burden of leadership. You long for the days before you were crowned, before you had to make decisions that could shape the fate of an entire kingdom. But those days are gone. The past is a luxury you can no longer afford. You're pulled back from your thoughts by the sound of footsteps in the hallway. You don't need to look up to know who it is. It's Everard. Always Everard, the constant presence at your side. He's been your advisor, your confidant, your right hand for years, but tonight, his presence feels more like an obligation than a comfort. You turn, bracing yourself for whatever news he brings. The door opens, and he steps in, his face unreadable as always. But tonight, there's something different in his eyes, a flicker of something you can't quite place. Fear, worry, you can't tell, but it's there, and it's unsettling. Your Majesty, he begins, his voice steady but laced with something more. There's word from the capital. The nobles are growing restless. They've heard about the unrest in Alderwick, and they want more. They want you to take action. They're demanding a meeting tomorrow, in person. They expect a solution. You try to keep your composure, but you can feel the tension in your chest tighten, squeezing the breath from your lungs. More demands, more pressure. You've done everything you can to keep the kingdom from falling apart, but it's never enough. You've appeased the nobles, done everything they've asked, but now they want more. They always want more. And the people, the ones who are truly suffering, they're still waiting, still desperate for change. What do they want this time? You ask, your voice flat as though you've already given up. Another tax increase, another war, more land, more power. Everard hesitates for a moment, then responds, his voice softer than usual. They want control, Your Majesty. They want more influence over the kingdom's affairs. They're demanding greater say in matters of state, and they're threatening to withdraw their support if you don't comply. You feel your stomach tighten at his words. Withdraw their support? The thought is enough to make your heart race. Without the support of the nobles, you have nothing. You'd be nothing. The kingdom would be plunged into chaos. You've worked too hard to build what you have, too hard to keep everything from crumbling, to let it all fall apart now. Tell them I'll meet with them, you say, your voice hardening, as though you're trying to convince yourself that you still have control. But I won't give in to their demands. We will discuss the future of this kingdom, but they will not dictate what happens next. Everard nods, though you can see the concern etched into his face. Very well, Your Majesty, but I must warn you, the nobles are not easily swayed. They're growing impatient, and they're starting to look for other avenues of influence. The situation is becoming more precarious. You nod, trying to mask the fear gnawing at your insides. You know what he's saying is true. The nobles are ruthless, and their ambition knows no bounds. If they feel like they're losing control, they'll turn on you in an instant. You can't afford to let that happen. Is there anything else? You ask, trying to keep your voice steady. Everard pauses for a moment before speaking again. There's also word from the people. They're waiting for your response. They want to know if you will act on your promises. The protest in Alderwick wasn't just about taxes. It was about trust. They're losing faith in you, Your Majesty. And if you don't show them that you're willing to fight for them, to make real changes, they may turn against you entirely. His words land like a punch to the gut. You've been so focused on the nobles, on the politics of power, that you've forgotten about the people, the ones who built this kingdom, who fight and die for it, who are starving in the streets while you sit in your castle, surrounded by luxury. They're the ones who need you the most, and you've been failing them. Thank you, Everard, you say quietly, though the words feel hollow. You don't know what else to say. The weight of it all is too much. The pressure from the nobles, the anger from the people, the constant reminder that you're failing on both sides. It's too much for one man to bear, but you have no choice. You have to bear it. You're the king. As Everard leaves the room, you sit down at your desk, your hands trembling slightly as you reach for the stack of papers in front of you. The weight of the decision ahead weighs on you more than the crown ever could. You've been given one chance to prove that you're not just a king, but a king who will fight for his people. And for the first time in a long while, you wonder if you can do it. Can you rise above the pressure, above the politics, above the lies? Can you find a way to unite your kingdom, to make the changes the people so desperately need, and still hold on to the throne? You don't have the answers yet, but you know one thing for sure. This is your last chance, and you won't waste it. The hours that follow are filled with a sense of inevitability. You sit at your desk, alone in the silence of your study, the weight of your thoughts pressing down on you like a physical force. The flickering candlelight casts long shadows on the walls, but it does little to chase away the darkness that has taken root in your mind. Tomorrow's meeting with the nobles looms over you like a storm cloud, threatening to break at any moment. You've been trying to push the fear aside, trying to convince yourself that you're in control, that you can handle this, but deep down you know the truth. You're not sure if you can. The people are losing faith in you, and the nobles are circling, waiting for any sign of weakness. The delicate balance you've worked so hard to maintain is starting to crumble, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The woman from Alderwick, her words still haunt you. You have one chance, Your Majesty. Don't waste it. The challenge in her voice lingers in your mind, gnawing at you. You know she was right. You've been too focused on keeping the nobles happy, too caught up in the politics of power that you've forgotten about the people. You promised them better, but all you've given them is more of the same. Empty promises. A kingdom teetering on the brink of collapse. Tomorrow, you will face the nobles. They will demand answers, and they will expect results. They won't be satisfied with anything less than what they want. But what if what they want is impossible? What if the choices you make tomorrow will push your kingdom to the breaking point? What if you're already too far gone to turn things around? A knock at the door pulls you from your thoughts. You don't need to look up to know who it is. Everard, as always, comes to deliver the news. He steps inside without waiting for permission, his expression as unreadable as ever. But tonight, there's something in his eyes, a flicker of concern, perhaps even fear. Your Majesty, he begins, his voice low and steady. The nobles are gathering. They've made it clear that they expect a solution tomorrow. They're growing impatient, Your Majesty. They're demanding that you take a firm stand, that you show them you're still in control. You exhale sharply, rubbing your temples. The pressure is suffocating. You've been trying to keep everyone happy, trying to maintain order, but it's like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how hard you try, it keeps slipping through your fingers. Tell them I'll meet with them, you say, your voice flat. Tell them I'll give them the answers they want. Everard nods, but there's something in his posture, a subtle shift in his demeanor that tells you he knows this won't be as easy as it sounds. He hesitates for a moment before speaking again, his voice more cautious now. Your Majesty, I must advise caution. The nobles are ruthless. They will not be satisfied with empty promises. If you give them too much, it may cost you more than just your throne. You look at him, eyes narrowing. What are you suggesting, Everard? His gaze shifts, almost as if he's weighing the words before speaking. I'm suggesting that you don't let them push you into a corner, Your Majesty. Don't let them dictate every decision. You are the king. You have the power. But if you give in to their demands too easily, you risk losing what little control you have left. His words hit harder than expected, and for a brief moment, you feel a flicker of something. Defiance, perhaps. Control, the one thing you've been holding on to, the one thing that's kept the kingdom from falling apart. The idea of losing it terrifies you, but the thought of keeping it at the expense of your people? That's worse. Everard is right. The nobles have always been hungry for more land, more power, more influence, and now with the kingdom on the brink of collapse, they want it all. They won't stop until they've bled you dry, taken everything from you, just as they've done with the people. But that's the crux of it, isn't it? The people are the ones who matter. The people are the ones you swore to protect. And yet, they're the ones who are suffering, the ones who are losing hope. You stand up, pacing across the room, the heavy weight of your crown pressing down on you with every step. You can feel the eyes of the kingdom on you, feel their gaze burning into you from every corner of the land. They want answers. They want change. But more than anything, they want hope. And you're not sure if you can give that to them. The nobles will demand more, you say, your voice quiet almost to yourself. They always do. But what about the people, Everard? What about them? I promised them better, and I've given them nothing but more hardship. Everard steps closer, his voice soft but firm. Your Majesty, the people know the weight of the crown. They understand the sacrifices you've had to make. But you can't do it all alone. You've carried this burden for so long, but even a king has limits. The people need to see that you're willing to fight for them, that you'll stand up to the nobles, that you'll do whatever it takes to restore the kingdom. You stop in your tracks, the weight of his words settling over you like a heavy cloak. Fight for them. It seems so simple when he says it. But what does that really mean? What does it mean to fight for your people when the very system that's supposed to protect them is broken? What does it mean to be a king when the crown feels more like a curse? I don't know if I can do this anymore, Everard, you admit, the words slipping out before you can stop them. I don't know if I can hold this kingdom together. For the first time, Everard's face softens. Your Majesty, you've already done more than most kings could ever dream of, but you can't do it alone. You need to show the people that you're still fighting for them. You need to show them that you're willing to make the hard choices, even if it costs you everything. You nod slowly, the weight of his words sinking in. You've spent so much time trying to hold on to the crown, trying to keep the nobles happy, trying to maintain control, that you've forgotten the most important thing, the people. You made a promise to them, and you're not about to break that promise now. I will meet with them, you say, your voice steady now, and I will show them that I'm still in control. I will show them that I won't be pushed around. I will fight for this kingdom, no matter the cost. Everard looks at you, his expression hardening with determination. That's the king I've been waiting for. And for the first time in a long while, you feel the stirrings of something inside you, something that's been buried beneath the weight of the crown, beneath the endless demands. It's hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, you can still save your kingdom. But the battle is far from over, and the road ahead is more uncertain than ever. The nobles will demand more, and the people will demand change. But tomorrow, you will make your stand. Tomorrow you will fight. The hours before the meeting feel like a slow, suffocating descent. You sit alone in the quiet of your study, the flickering fire in the hearth offering little warmth against the chill that's crept into your bones. The pressure weighs on you, building with every passing second, thick and unrelenting. Tomorrow will be the day that shapes the future of your kingdom, a kingdom teetering on the edge of collapse. You know this is your moment, your chance to either right the course or sink it further into turmoil. And yet you can't shake the nagging doubt that crawls under your skin. Are you truly capable of saving it? Of saving them? The nobles will come tomorrow. They will demand answers, solutions, something to fix the unrest, the chaos, the tension that's gripped the kingdom for far too long. You know what they want. More power, more control, more of everything they've been hoarding for years. But what about the people? What about those you swore to protect? They've been left behind, forgotten in the pursuit of power and wealth. And as much as you try to convince yourself that the nobles are the ones you need to appease, it's the people who matter. The words from Everard echo in your mind, his voice filled with a warning. You can't do it alone, Your Majesty. But how can you show the people that you're willing to fight for them when the very system that's supposed to protect them is broken? How do you balance the weight of the crown, the expectations of the nobles, and the desperate cries of your people? It feels impossible. But tomorrow, you will have no choice but to try. You lean forward, elbows on the desk, staring at the flickering candle in front of you. The shadows dance on the walls, stretching out like ghosts, and for a moment you wonder if you've already lost. The sound of your own breath fills the room, and you realize that the stillness is suffocating. The silence is louder than any shout or cry from the people. You are alone with your thoughts, and the weight of them is almost too much to bear. A knock at the door snaps you out of your reverie, and you straighten, hoping that the intrusion will give you something to focus on. The door creaks open, and Everard steps inside. He's carrying another pile of papers, but this time his face is different. There's something more in his expression, a look of resolve, maybe even urgency. Your Majesty, he says, his voice low but steady. The nobles are waiting. They're in the Great Hall, preparing for tomorrow's meeting. They're eager to discuss the future of the kingdom. You nod, feeling the weight of the moment settle in your chest. Tomorrow, the moment you've been dreading and anticipating all at once. You've been preparing for this, or at least trying to. But now that it's here, you wonder if you're ready. Are you truly prepared to face them, to make the decisions that will either save or destroy everything you've worked for? You've been with me through it all, Everard, you say, your voice softer now, almost vulnerable. Do you think I can still fix this? Can I save the kingdom from this mess I've created? Everard sets the papers down on the desk, walking over to you with a measured calm. He stands beside you for a moment, as if weighing his words carefully. Your Majesty, he begins, his tone sincere, you've done more for this kingdom than anyone could have expected. But it's not just about power, it's about the people. You've always known that. You've always fought for them, even when it seemed impossible. And now, more than ever, they need to see that you're still willing to fight. Not just for the crown, but for them. You stare at him for a long moment, the weight of his words settling in. He's right. The kingdom isn't just about you. It's about the people who live in it, who depend on it. And somewhere along the way, you've lost sight of that. You've been so consumed by the politics, the power struggles, the endless demands, that you've forgotten why you became king in the first place. I promised them a better life, you mutter, almost to yourself, but all I've done is made things worse. Everard doesn't respond right away. Instead, he places a hand on your shoulder, a gesture of reassurance, though it's clear that he knows the battle you're facing is far from over. You can still make it right, Your Majesty, but it won't be easy. Tomorrow, you'll need to make a stand, not just against the nobles, but against the forces that are tearing this kingdom apart. If you want to restore order, to restore trust, you have to show them that you're willing to fight for it. You take a deep breath, trying to steady yourself. You've always been able to keep your composure, to remain calm in the face of adversity. But now, with everything on the line, with the kingdom teetering on the edge, you wonder if you can still hold it together. The weight of the crown feels unbearable, and the idea of facing the nobles tomorrow fills you with dread. They will demand answers, and no matter what you say, it will never be enough. They will always want more. But the people need something different. They need hope. And they need to see that there's not a figurehead sitting on a throne, but a king who is willing to fight for them, who is willing to make the hard decisions, even if it means losing everything. You owe them that. You owe them more than just words. You owe them action. I won't fail them, you say, more to yourself than to Everard. I will do whatever it takes for them, for the kingdom. Everard gives you a small nod as if he's relieved to hear those words. That's the king we need. That's the king they need. You feel a spark of determination flicker inside you, and for the first time in what feels like forever, the weight of the crown doesn't feel so crushing. Tomorrow, you will face the nobles. Tomorrow, you will fight for the kingdom. And even if you lose everything in the process, you will know that you did everything you could to save it. As Everard leaves the room, you sit in silence for a moment, the flickering candlelight casting shadows across your face. The road ahead will be difficult. The decisions will be hard. But for the first time in a long while, you feel ready. Tomorrow will decide the future of the kingdom, and you will stand firm no matter the cost. You rise from your desk, taking one last look at the papers before you. The kingdom, your people, your crown. It all hangs in the balance. And tomorrow, you will make your stand. No more waiting, no more empty promises. Tomorrow, you will fight. The night before the meeting feels like an eternity. It stretches out, endless and oppressive, as if the very weight of the kingdom is resting on your shoulders. You've spent the last few hours alone, sitting in the silence of your study, staring at the flickering flame of the candle as it dances and flickers in the cold, oppressive air. The castle, usually bustling with life, is strangely still tonight, almost as if it too is holding its breath, waiting for what tomorrow will bring. You know the stakes, they couldn't be higher. Tomorrow, everything changes. The nobles will come, their faces hardened with demands. The people will watch, their eyes filled with hope or, more likely, disappointment. The kingdom itself is at a crossroads, and you're the one who has to lead it through the storm. You can feel the weight of your decisions pressing down on you like a physical force. You've promised the people better. You've promised to be a king who will fight for them, who will make the hard choices. But now, as the hours tick by, you wonder if you're strong enough to follow through. The doubts creep in, gnawing at the edges of your mind. Can you really hold it all together? Can you navigate this delicate web of politics and power struggles? Or will you crumble under the pressure? The nobles are gathering. They've already made their demands clear, and you know they won't be satisfied with anything less than a firm, decisive response. They want more power. They want control over the kingdom's future. But they've never truly cared about the people. They've only cared about their own wealth and influence. And now, with the kingdom on the brink of collapse, they're ready to seize it all. You know they won't stop until they've gotten what they want. The problem is, they're not the only ones you have to answer to. The people are watching, waiting for you to show them that you're still their king, that you're still willing to fight for them. You stand up abruptly, the chair scraping against the stone floor, its screeching sound breaking the silence of the room. You walk to the window, staring out into the darkness. The streets below are quiet now, the protests of earlier in the day having long since died down. But you know they'll be back, stronger this time. The people want change, and they're not going to wait much longer. They're tired of being ignored. They're tired of being promised better, only to have their hopes dashed again and again. And you're the one who's failed them. It's you they're looking to for answers. The truth is, you've always known this day would come. The day when the kingdom would reach its breaking point. The day when you'd have to choose to stand with the nobles, to hold on to your power at any cost, or to stand with the people, to make the hard choices and risk losing it all. And now that the moment is here, you feel unprepared. You've spent so much time balancing the demands of the court, of the nobles, that you've neglected the very people who gave you the crown. You've promised them better, but have you delivered? Have you truly fought for them, or have you just fought to keep your seat on the throne? You can hear the sound of footsteps outside your door, and for a brief moment, you wonder if it's Everard coming to give you more news, more updates, more problems to solve. But when the door opens, it's not Everard who steps inside. It's the woman from Alderwick. You freeze. She stands there in the doorway, her eyes locked on you with an intensity that makes your heart race. She's not here to offer advice or comfort. She's here for something else, for answers. The same answers she demanded earlier in the day, in front of the crowd. The same answers you couldn't give her then. But now, you have no choice but to face her. You look like you haven't slept, she says quietly, her voice cool but sharp. Is that the weight of the crown keeping you up? Or is it the knowledge that you're about to make a decision that will change everything? You swallow hard, unsure of how to respond. She's right. You haven't slept. Not really. And yes, it's the weight of the crown, the weight of the kingdom that's keeping you up. The decision you're about to make will change everything. It could either heal the kingdom or tear it apart. and the stakes are too high for you to be unsure. I've been thinking about what you said, you finally reply, your voice tight. About fighting for the people, about making the hard choices. She steps into the room, closing the door behind her, and walks toward you. And, she prompts, her eyes never leaving yours. Have you figured out what you're gonna do? You let out a slow breath, the air thick with tension. You know what she wants to hear. You know what everyone wants to hear. The problem is, you don't know if you can give it to them. I'm not sure, you admit. I've tried to make the right choices to balance the needs of the people with the demands of the court, but I'm not sure it's enough anymore. The nobles are growing restless. The people are losing faith in me. I can't keep up with all of it. She pauses in front of you, her gaze softening for just a moment before the resolve hardens once again. You're right, she says quietly. You can't keep up with it all. No one can. But that's not the point. The point is that you have to make a choice. You can't keep trying to please everyone. You have to decide who you're really fighting for, the nobles or the people. And once you make that choice, you have to stand by it. No more empty promises, no more hiding behind the crown, just action. Her words hit you like a slap, and for a moment, you stand there, stunned by the bluntness of her honesty. She's right, of course. You've been hiding behind your title, behind your position, trying to maintain the delicate balance that has kept you in power for so long. But the truth is, the kingdom is falling apart, and no amount of political maneuvering will save it now. You need to choose, and that choice will determine everything. I'm afraid, you admit, the words slipping out before you can stop them. Afraid that if I make the wrong choice, I'll lose everything. The kingdom, the people, even my own life. She looks at you for a long moment, her expression unreadable, before she speaks again. You've already lost everything, Your Majesty. You just haven't realized it yet. Her words cut through you, sharp and unrelenting. You've already lost everything. The truth of it stings, and for a moment, you feel the crushing weight of it all. But then something shifts inside you, a flicker of resolve buried beneath the fear and doubt. You can't keep running. You can't keep pretending you have all the time in the world. Tomorrow, you will make your choice. Tomorrow, you will stand before the nobles and the people, and you will show them who you really are. You will show them that you are more than just a king who holds a crown. You are a king who will fight for what's right, no matter the cost. The woman watches you quietly, and for the first time, you see a glimmer of approval in her eyes. Good, she says softly. Now, go make the choice. Tomorrow is your moment, Your Majesty. Don't waste it. As she turns to leave, you stand there for a moment, your heart racing. Tomorrow is the day when everything changes. The first light of dawn creeps through the curtains of your study, casting long shadows on the stone floor. It's a cold, gray morning, fitting for the weight of the day ahead. You've barely slept, the hours passing in restless intervals, your mind spinning with thoughts of the meeting. The nobles will be waiting for you in the great hall, their faces eager, demanding answers. The people, are watching as well, their hopes and fears hanging in the balance. Today will decide it all. You run a hand through your hair, trying to shake off the fog of exhaustion, but the reality of the situation is too much. The pressure, the weight of the crown, the decisions you've made, and the ones you still need to make, all threaten to crush you. You've been fighting for control, for order, but the kingdom is slipping from your grasp. The people are restless, and the nobles are circling like vultures, ready to feast on the scraps of power you've held onto for so long. You've tried to appease them all, but it's clear now, no matter what you do, someone will be left disappointed. Someone will hate you. You walk to the window, staring out at the mist-covered streets below. The kingdom is quiet for now, but you know that won't last. The unrest is simmering just beneath the surface, and it's only a matter of time before it boils over. You think back to the woman from Alderwick, her challenge still fresh in your mind. You have one chance, Your Majesty. Don't waste it. Her words have haunted you all night, and now they feel like an inescapable truth. You've been hiding behind the crown, hiding behind the title, pretending you can hold it all together with nothing but words. But words have gotten you nowhere. It's time for action. You're pulled from your thoughts by a knock at the door, and you turn just as Everard enters the room. His face is as impassive as ever, but there's something about the way he holds himself today that feels different. He's not just the calm, ever-present advisor anymore. He's the one who's been by your side through thick and thin, and he's the one who knows exactly what's at stake today. Your Majesty, he begins, his voice steady but with an undercurrent of urgency. The nobles are gathered in the hall. They're waiting for you. You nod, feeling your stomach tighten. The moment has come. This is the day when you'll face them all. The nobles, the people, the burden of leadership. You've been walking this line for years, but today, you know, will be different. Today, you will either hold on to the crown or lose it all. Have they made any demands yet? You ask, your voice low and measured. The thought of the nobles' expectations weighs heavily on you, but you can't let it show. You can't let them see your fear. They've made their positions clear, Your Majesty, Everard replies, stepping closer. They want more control, more influence. They want the kingdom's future to be in their hands, not yours. They've lost confidence in your ability to lead, and they're ready to take action if you don't give them what they want. You let out a sharp breath, the sting of his words hitting harder than you expected. You knew this moment was coming, but hearing it laid out so plainly makes the reality sink in deeper than you can bear. The nobles are no longer your allies, they've turned into your enemies, and today they will demand their pound of flesh. They want power, and if you don't give it to them, they'll strip it from you. You turn away from the window, walking toward your desk. The papers that have been piling up, the petitions, the demands, the letters from the people, they're all still there waiting to be dealt with, but none of it matters now. It's not about the paperwork. It's about the people who stand before you, demanding that you choose. You've tried to balance the needs of the nobles with the needs of the people, but you know that you can't do both anymore. You can't appease everyone. You have to make a choice. What happens if I refuse? You ask, your voice quiet, though the words hang heavy in the air. Everard doesn't hesitate. If you refuse, Your Majesty, they will move forward with their own plans. They will take control of the kingdom, and you will be left with nothing. You'll lose your crown, and the people will lose any hope they have left in you. You feel the weight of his words like a physical blow. Losing the crown, losing the kingdom. The thought makes your stomach churn, but in your heart, you know he's right. You can't back down now. The nobles are ruthless, and if you don't take a stand, you'll lose everything. You stand there for a long moment, the silence between you and Everard growing thicker with each passing second. The clock on the wall ticks steadily, and you know that time is running out. You've spent so many years trying to keep the peace, trying to find a way to make everyone happy. But there's no middle ground now. The people are suffering, and the nobles are hungry for power. And you, the king, have to decide who you will fight for. Finally, you turn back to Everard, your mind made up. Prepare the court. I'll meet with the nobles, you say, your voice steady now, as if you've already accepted the inevitable. But they won't dictate the future of this kingdom. I will. I'm not afraid of losing my crown. But I am afraid of losing the people. I will fight for them, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep this kingdom intact. Everard gives you a single approving nod, his eyes reflecting a flicker of hope. I knew you would make the right choice, Your Majesty. It's time to show them who you really are. You take a deep breath, the weight of your decision sinking in. Today, you will face the nobles. Today, you will show them that you are the king. Not because of the crown on your head, but because of the choices you're willing to make for the good of the kingdom. No more hiding, no more pretending. You'll make the hard choices, the ones that will either save the kingdom or destroy it. You walk out of the room, your steps steady, your heart pounding. The court is waiting, the nobles are waiting, the people are waiting, and tomorrow, you will make your stand. The air in the great hall feels thick with anticipation as you step inside, your footsteps echoing off the cold stone floors. The nobles are already gathered, their eyes fixed on you as you approach the throne. You've faced them before, in moments both tense and trivial, but today is different. Today, the stakes are higher than ever. The kingdom itself hangs in the balance, and you can feel the weight of that responsibility pressing down on you. You have one chance to make this right, to show them that you're more than just a figurehead, that you're a king who will fight for the people. The murmurs die down as you take your seat on the throne, the familiar weight of the crown resting on your head, a reminder of all that you've promised, all that you've failed to deliver. The nobles stand in silence, waiting for you to speak, and for a moment it feels as if the entire kingdom is holding its breath. The tension is almost palpable, thick in the air, as though the walls themselves are waiting to see what will happen next. You take a deep breath, your mind racing with thoughts of the choices that brought you to this point. You've spent so long trying to balance the needs of the nobles with the needs of the people. But you can't do it anymore. You can't keep pretending that you can please both sides without making someone, or something, pay the price. The people are desperate, and the nobles are hungry for more power. You can no longer sit in the middle and hope the storm will pass. The first voice to break the silence is Lord Ashford, his tone as smooth as it is cold. "Your Majesty," he begins, his eyes never leaving yours, "we've been patient long enough. The kingdom is crumbling and your hesitation is costing us dearly. We demand action. We demand that you show us your commitment to the future of this realm." The words sting, but you don't flinch. You've heard this before. The demands, the accusations, the insinuations that you're not fit to lead. They think you're weak. They think you're indecisive. They think you're too wrapped up in trying to appease everyone to make the hard choices. But that ends today. Today you will show them who you truly are. "I am committed to the future of this kingdom," you reply, your voice steady, though there's a fire simmering beneath it. "But my commitment is to the people, not to you. I've spent too long trying to keep you satisfied while the people suffer. No more." A murmur ripples through the room at your words, and you see the surprise flicker across some of their faces. They didn't expect this. They didn't expect you to challenge them. But that's exactly what you're going to do. "Your Majesty," Lord Ashford says, his voice laced with disbelief, "this kingdom cannot survive without the support of the nobility. We are the ones who provide the strength, the stability, the resources. Without us, there is no kingdom. Do not forget your place." You straighten in your seat, letting his words hang in the air for a moment before responding. "I've never forgotten my place, Lord Ashford," you say, your voice hardening. "But neither have I forgotten who I serve. I serve the kingdom, all of it, not just the nobility, and it's time you remembered that." The tension in the room rises, the nobles exchanging uneasy glances, and you can feel the temperature in the hall shift. They don't like this. They don't like that you're standing your ground. They thought they had you cornered, but you finally realize something they've never understood. The power isn't just in the crown. It's in the choices you make, in the actions you take. And today, you will make those choices. You will act not for the nobles, but for the kingdom. The silence stretches, the weight of your words hanging in the air. You can feel the eyes of the room on you, but this time you don't look away. You hold their gaze, each one of them, daring them to challenge you. "Your Majesty, what do you propose?" Lady Renwick asks, her voice sharp but tinged with curiosity. She's always been more pragmatic than the others, and you know she's waiting for you to give them something they can work with. You stand up, your voice cutting through the stillness. "The time for empty promises is over," you say. "We will address the needs of the people first. The taxes will be reduced, and I will enact reforms that will put power back in the hands of the people. I will no longer pander to the demands of the wealthy while the common folk starve. The kingdom is not just a prize to be claimed, it's a responsibility." The room falls silent once again, and you can feel the heat of their disbelief burning through you. They weren't expecting this. They weren't expecting you to stand up to them like this, to make these kinds of demands. They wanted you to bend, to break under the pressure. But instead, you're breaking free from the chains they've wrapped around you, breaking free from the illusion of control they've tried to impose on you. "Your Majesty," Lord Ashford says again, his voice laced with an edge, "this is not how things are done. You cannot simply give the people everything they want and expect us to comply. This kingdom has been built on the strength of the nobility. You cannot dismantle the very system that has held it together for centuries." "And yet," you reply, your voice cold and calm, "it is that very system that is destroying this kingdom. It is the system that has allowed corruption to fester, that has ignored the cries of the people. If we are to survive, we must change. We must rebuild from the ground up. There's a pause, a moment where you can feel the weight of your words sink into the room. The nobles shift uncomfortably in their seats, but you don't look away. This is your moment. You have the power now, the power of conviction, the power of truth, and you will not let it slip away. Do you want to save the kingdom, or do you want to save your own power? You ask, your voice cutting through the tension. If you want to save the kingdom, you will stand with me. If not, you will stand against it. But know this, I will not be swayed. I will do what is necessary to secure the future of this realm, even if that means losing everything. For a long moment, the room is silent. You can feel their eyes on you, their judgments, their doubts. But this time, you're not afraid. You've made your choice. The kingdom comes first, and if they won't stand with you, they will fall without you. Finally, Lady Renwick speaks, her voice measured but with a hint of resignation. Very well, Your Majesty, we will follow your lead, but know this, the road ahead will not be easy. We will be watching. You nod, acknowledging her words, but your resolve has never been clearer. You've made the first move, and the game has changed. Now it's up to them to decide whether they will rise with you or fall apart. But either way, you will lead, and you will fight for this kingdom, no matter the cost. The silence in the Great Hall after your declaration is deafening. Every eye in the room is locked on you, some in disbelief, some in anger, and others in reluctant acceptance. But none of them speak. None of them dare. The air is thick with tension, thick with the weight of the words you've just spoken, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you realize that you've stepped into a new reality, one where there is no going back. You've taken the first step, but now you can feel the enormity of what you've just done. The kingdom is at a tipping point, and your choice, your stand, will either save it or destroy it. You've defied the very people who have held power for centuries. The nobles are no longer just your advisors. They are the ones who have held the strings of the kingdom for so long, and now you've cut them, or at least you've started to. The question is whether you can hold on to the knife. The weight of the crown seems heavier now, as if the gold itself is pressing down on your brow, reminding you of everything you've promised, everything you have yet to deliver. You've declared your commitment to the people, but that commitment will be tested in ways you can't comprehend. You've made your choice. The people come first, the reforms come first, even if it means alienating the very power structure that has kept this kingdom intact for generations. But what happens when the nobles, the ones who've supported you, turn against you? What happens when the court, the very heart of your power, begins to erode? You turn to look at them once more. Lord Ashford's jaw is clenched, his eyes narrowed in contempt. Lady Renwick, ever the pragmatist, watches you with a mixture of skepticism and resignation. They have heard your words, but do they believe them? Do they understand the gravity of what you've just done? Or are they just waiting for the moment when you falter, when the pressure of the crown becomes too much and you fall back into the safety of appeasing them? You've made your choice, Your Majesty, Lord Ashford finally speaks, his voice low, carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken threats. But understand this, the nobility will not bow to your demands. We will not relinquish power so easily. And if you push us too far, you will find yourself alone, not just on the throne, but in this kingdom. You hold his gaze, unwavering. There's a flicker of something in his eyes, something that almost resembles fear. It's not the fear of losing his title or his wealth. It's something deeper, more primal. It's the fear of losing control. And in that moment, you realize just how fragile the power of the nobility is. It's built on control, on manipulating those who can't fight back. But you've taken that control away from them. You've made it clear that you will not bow to their demands anymore. I've never asked you to bow, you reply, your voice steady, your heart pounding in your chest. I've asked you to stand with me, to stand for the kingdom we're supposed to be building. If you can't do that, then you will be the ones who will find themselves alone, not me. The room stirs, and for a brief moment, it feels as if you've won, but you know better. You've made your stand, but the fight is far from over. You can already feel the eyes of the nobles shifting, each one weighing their next move, calculating how they will use your words against you. They'll play their games, they'll try to undermine you, but you have one thing they don't: the truth. You are the king, and the kingdom belongs to the people, not to the noble few who've hoarded power for so long. Enough of this. Lady Renwick speaks up, her voice firm, her tone cutting through the tension like a blade. Your Majesty, the question now is not about your resolve, it's about your ability to govern. You've made a bold statement, but statements alone don't hold a kingdom together. Action does, and if you're serious about these reforms, then you will have to prove it. Words will only take you so far. You take a breath, feeling the weight of her challenge. She's right. Words are easy. They're easy to say, easy to promise, but they're meaningless without action to back them up. The nobles will test you, they will push you, and they will do everything they can to make sure you fail. If you want to hold on to the crown, if you want to hold on to the kingdom, you need to prove that your actions will match your promises. You need to show them that you're willing to sacrifice everything: your power, your influence, even your life, for what's right. I will prove it, you say, your voice cutting through the tension in the room. Not with words, but with deeds, starting now. The room falls silent again, the weight of your words hanging in the air. It's as if time itself has stopped, as if the very foundation of the kingdom is teetering on the brink. You've made your decision. Now, you have to follow through. The road ahead will not be easy. The nobles will fight you every step of the way. They'll challenge you, undermine you, and do everything in their power to tear down the very foundations of the changes you're trying to make. But you're ready for this fight. You have to be. You turn toward the nobles once more, your voice firm, commanding. The time for petty politics is over. The people will no longer be ignored. The kingdom will no longer be ruled by greed and corruption. I will do whatever it takes to rebuild this land, to restore the hope that has been stolen from it. The murmurs in the room grow louder, the nobles exchanging glances, some of them now wary, others still defiant. But there's one thing you've noticed: the uncertainty in their eyes. They're no longer sure of themselves. The ground beneath them is shifting, and they know it. They've never had to face a king who would risk it all for the people, who would stand against them for what's right. And for the first time in years, you feel the weight of the crown shift, not as a burden, but as a weapon. You've made your stand, and you will not back down. The time for hesitation is over. You will lead. You will fight for your kingdom, for your people, and no matter what it costs, you will not let them fall. Let the reforms begin, you say, your voice ringing out, clear and unyielding. And with that, the room falls silent again, the nobles unsure of what will come next. But you are certain of one thing: this is only the beginning. The silence that follows your declaration is not one of defeat, but of uneasy calculation. The nobles, once so sure of their position, now find themselves in uncharted territory. You've defied them. You've made a stand for the people, for reform, for the future of the kingdom. And though they may not like it, they can no longer ignore you. You've shown them something they haven't seen in years: a king with conviction, with a purpose that transcends power. Lord Ashford, his eyes narrowing with the weight of your words, breaks the silence first. You are bold, Your Majesty, but do you truly understand what you're asking for? The foundation of the kingdom is built on the structures we've upheld for centuries. If you tear them down, what will replace them? His tone is calm, but tinged with the undertones of fear. Not for his wealth or his title, but for the unknown that your reforms may bring. You meet his gaze unwaveringly. What replaces it is the will of the people, a kingdom built for all, not just the privileged few. We will rebuild, Lord Ashford, with a foundation that works for everyone, not just the nobles. The certainty in your voice rings out like a clarion call. This is your kingdom now, and it will belong to those who need it most. Lady Renwick, though wary, steps forward. Her eyes, once calculating, now seem to have softened, but only slightly. And the price of this change, Your Majesty? How will the people bear it? The nobility, the very framework that keeps the kingdom functioning, will not simply step aside. You will have enemies, both within and without. Even the people you seek to help may turn on you, should they see your promises as too difficult to achieve. You let her words settle in, understanding their gravity. She's right. Change is never easy, but you know, deep down, that the old ways are no longer sustainable. Then let them turn against me, Lady Renwick, you say, your voice fierce with resolve. If I fail, it will be because I did not fight hard enough, but I will not let fear of losing stop me from doing what is right. The people's voices will be heard. The kingdom will change, and if it costs me everything, so be it. A murmur rises from the nobles, but it's not one of defiance this time. There's an uncomfortable recognition in their eyes. They know the kingdom cannot remain as it is. And they know that a reckoning is coming, one way or another. Everard, ever your steady advisor, steps forward, his expression weary but resolute. Your Majesty, he begins, his voice steady but carrying the weight of years of counsel. You have made your position clear. But remember this, you are no longer merely a king on a throne. You are a symbol. Your actions will inspire others, or they will fuel rebellion. You must walk the line carefully. You nod, understanding the depth of his warning. I know, Everard, you reply, your voice low but resolute. But the time for hesitation is over. The people are watching. They're waiting for change. I will not falter now. The room falls silent again, but this time the silence feels different. It's not an oppressive quiet filled with resistance or doubt. It's a silence of contemplation, of realization. They may not agree with you, but they can no longer deny the force of your will. The reform is coming, and whether they want to admit it or not, they will have to choose. Either they stand with you, or they stand against the future of the kingdom. Lord Ashford speaks again, his voice measured, though tinged with grudging respect. You are asking for a revolution, Your Majesty. The consequences will be dire. But I see now that your course is set. The question, then, is not whether we agree with you, but whether you can truly deliver. I will deliver, you answer, your voice unwavering, not through words, but through actions. The reforms will begin today, and if you will not help me, I will lead without you. The people will have their say, and we will rise or fall by that. The nobles exchange glances, their expressions uncertain, but no longer as hostile. Some look skeptical, others wary, but all know that you are no longer just a figurehead, a king who dances to their tune. You are a king with a purpose, with a vision, and they have no choice but to acknowledge it. Lady Renwick speaks once more, this time with a hint of admiration in her voice. Very well, Your Majesty. We will see how your vision unfolds. But remember, the kingdom's survival depends on your ability to balance the demands of both the people and the nobility. We are willing to follow, but only if you prove that you can lead us through this transformation. I will prove it, you say, your voice strong, filled with an unshakable certainty. The time for compromise is over. The time for action has arrived. With that, the nobles fall silent, their final murmurs dying down as they contemplate what comes next. The room feels different now, charged with the weight of what you've just set into motion. You know the path ahead will be difficult. There will be challenges, betrayals, moments of doubt, and perhaps even defeat. But for the first time in years, you feel like you're standing on solid ground. You've made your stand, and now the kingdom will change. You rise from your throne, the crown still heavy on your head, but it no longer feels like a weight. It feels like a symbol of your duty. You will fight for the people. You will fight for this kingdom. And even if it costs you everything, you will not back down. The great hall is still, the echoes of your words lingering in the air like the aftershock of a storm. The weight of the crown on your head is no longer just a symbol of authority. It is a reminder of the choices you've made, of the path you've chosen, and of the battle that lies ahead. The room is filled with the sound of shifting bodies, the nobles exchanging glances, whispering among themselves, but you stand firm, unwavering in your resolve. For the first time, you feel the true weight of leadership. It's not the weight of a throne or a crown, it's the weight of the future of an entire kingdom resting on your shoulders. The silence that fills the room now is different from the one that greeted your arrival. It's not deafening in its hostility anymore. It's pregnant with uncertainty. They are no longer sure of themselves, no longer sure of what comes next. And that shift, that flicker of doubt, is all the power you need. Lord Ashford, his face tight with a mixture of pride and frustration, speaks first. His tone is resigned, though tinged with something akin to respect, albeit reluctant. Your Majesty, we have heard your words, and we will not stand in your way. for now. But know this, there is no going back. If you are to lead us into this new kingdom, you will face fierce opposition. The people will demand everything, and the nobles will demand their pound of flesh. You must be prepared for that. You meet his gaze without flinching. His warning is not lost on you. You know the path ahead will be difficult. You know that your decisions will make you enemies, not just among the nobles, but within your own court. But for the first time, you feel ready to fight for what is right. I've been prepared for this moment, you reply, your voice steady, unyielding. The road ahead will be hard, but I will not shrink from it. I have already lost everything I thought mattered. Now I will fight for what truly does. The people will not be ignored. The kingdom will not be ruled by greed. We will build a new future, together. Lady Renwick, her expression unreadable, steps forward, though there's no sign of defiance in her eyes, only a quiet acceptance. Your Majesty, she says, her voice soft but laced with steel. We will support you, but remember, trust must be earned. We will follow, but not blindly. Prove to us that you can lead us through this storm. You will need more than just your will. You need a plan, and you need allies. Her words are a challenge, but they also contain a hint of hope. She knows, as you do, that words alone are meaningless. Action is what will matter now. The reform you've promised can't just exist in speeches. It must be made real. The people must see that you're fighting for them, not just promising them a better future, Hiska, but showing them that change is possible. I will earn your trust, you say, locking eyes with her, your voice unflinching. But first, I will earn the people's trust. They will see that the kingdom is for them, not for the few who have hoarded power for so long. The time for compromise is over. It's time for change, and I will lead it, even if it costs me everything. The room quiets, and for a moment it feels as though time itself has stopped. The nobles exchange wary glances, their uncertainty palpable. The foundation beneath them has shifted. They can no longer count on the same old games of power and manipulation. You have made it clear that things will be different now. That, for better or worse, you will be the king who reshapes the kingdom, and you won't stop until the people's voices are heard. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, Lord Ashford nods, his pride clearly wounded, but his understanding evident. We shall see how your plans unfold, Your Majesty. We will follow, for now. But remember, we are not fools. We will hold you to your word. You nod in return, a silent acknowledgement of the challenges that await. You know they will watch you, scrutinize every move, every decision. But that's what you've wanted. The time for blind loyalty is over. The people must be heard. And if that means defying the system that has held sway for centuries, so be it. As the nobles begin to murmur amongst themselves, you take your seat on the throne once more. The weight of the crown not as oppressive as it once was. You've made your stand. The future of the kingdom lies in your hands now, and you will not falter. The road ahead is uncertain, and the challenges are immense, but for the first time, you feel like the future is something you can shape. The battle for the kingdom is far from over, but you've taken the first step. You've shown the nobles and the people that you will not be swayed. You are the king, and this is your kingdom. The real fight begins now. The days after your decision to address the people feel both surreal and suffocating. Every movement you make is laden with consequence. Every word you speak weighed by the knowledge that the kingdom's future is at stake. You've taken the first step, but the real challenge lies in what comes next. The nobles may have given you a moment of reluctant space, but their eyes are on you, and so are the eyes of the people. You can feel the pressure growing, suffocating you at times. The consequences of your promises are not abstract anymore, they are real and immediate. Everard is by your side, as he always has been, but even his steady presence can't mitigate the rising uncertainty. He's preparing everything, making sure the message is clear, that you're ready to speak to the people and bring them the truth they've been waiting for. Yet, you know that the moment you step out to face them, there is no turning back. The road ahead is treacherous, and while you're resolute in your purpose, the magnitude of the task weighs heavily on you. The whispers from the nobles have grown louder. Some are already testing your resolve, testing your limits, hoping that your commitment to reform will falter when the true consequences come into play. Behind closed doors, they strategize, maneuvering to maintain control, to claw back what they feel slipping from their grasp. But you've made your decision. They may resist, but you cannot allow them to derail the hope of the people. The people themselves are restless. Word has spread, as it always does. They're uncertain, unsure of what the future holds, and whether your promises will truly change anything. They've heard promises before, only to be let down by empty words. Now, they wait to see whether you'll be different. Will you truly fight for them? Or will you fall victim to the same power struggles and complacency that have plagued your kingdom for so long? You know the stakes. They are not abstract. They are all too real. The people want action. They want change. And the path you've chosen is a dangerous one. The nobles will continue to push back, the people will continue to demand answers, and the kingdom will continue to hang in the balance. But you know this. If you don't act now, if you don't show them that you are serious about change, then it's all for nothing. The day of your address to the people arrives, and the weight on your chest grows heavier with each passing hour. You have prepared yourself for this moment. You've rehearsed the words, the message, but nothing can prepare you for the sheer reality of standing before your people. The city outside is filled with quiet anticipation. You know that the kingdom is watching, waiting for you to lead them into a new future. You stand before the crowd, the wind tousling your hair, and for a moment the weight of the moment nearly overwhelms you. The faces of your people, those who have suffered, who have longed for change, are before you. The crowd is not hostile, but there is skepticism in their eyes. They have been promised before, and they have been let down. You take a deep breath and step forward, the sound of your boots heavy against the ground. You clear your throat, and the murmur in the crowd dies down. I stand before you today, not as a king who seeks power, but as a king who seeks justice. You begin, your voice carrying across the square. The people fall silent, listening intently. I know that the promises I've made are not easy to believe. I know that words alone cannot undo the harm that has been done. But I also know this. If we are to move forward, we cannot continue with the same old systems. We cannot continue to allow the powerful to sit at the top while the rest of the kingdom suffers. You let the words hang in the air, feeling their weight, feeling the eyes of the people on you. The nobility will resist. The old ways will fight back. But I will not back down. This kingdom belongs to all of us, not just to the rich, not just to the elite. It belongs to the workers, to the farmers, to the mothers and fathers who wake up every day just trying to survive. A murmur runs through the crowd, and you can see the flicker of hope in their eyes. We will reduce the burdens that have been placed on your shoulders for too long, you continue. The taxes, the endless demands, they will be reformed. The power will be returned to the people, and I will be with you every step of the way. We will rebuild this kingdom, not just for the nobles, not just for the wealthy, but for everyone, together. You pause, looking at the faces before you, the faces of those who have believed in you and those who have doubted. The silence is thick, but you can feel a shift. They're listening. The murmurs grow louder, more hopeful. But understand this, you add, your voice firm, unyielding. This is not a battle I can win alone. The nobles will resist, and there will be challenges, but we will face them together. You will not be left behind. This kingdom will change, and I will make sure of it. The crowd starts to stir, and you feel a ripple of energy pass through the air. It's not overwhelming yet, but the shift is undeniable. They're starting to believe in you. They're starting to believe that change might actually come. You take one last look at the crowd, at the faces full of doubt, but now a flicker of trust as well. We will rebuild this kingdom, not in the image of the old power, but in the image of justice. Together, we will restore hope. You turn away from the crowd, your heart pounding in your chest. The battle is far from over. You know the road ahead will be difficult, full of obstacles and challenges. But today, you've taken the first step. You've shown them you're not just another ruler. You're the king who will fight for them, no matter the cost. As you walk away, you know that your journey has just begun. The nobles will push back. The people will demand more. But you will not falter. You will lead this kingdom to a new dawn, no matter the cost. As the cheers of the crowd reverberate through the courtyard, you stand tall, feeling the weight of the moment settle into your bones. For the first time since you took the throne, the crown on your head doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like a call to action, a symbol of the promise you made to the people who have stood by you, who have watched as the kingdom fractured, who now look to you with a flicker of hope in their eyes. The sound of their applause fills you with a sense of purpose, but there is no illusion of victory. This is only the beginning. The cheers may be loud now, but you know that the true test will come in the days ahead. The nobles will not give up their grip on power without a fight. There will be whispers in the halls of the castle, power plays in the shadows, and resistance in every corner. The people, too, will want to see change quickly, and the promise of a new kingdom will be put to the test. Everard steps quietly beside you, his face unreadable but his eyes reflecting the same weight of the moment. He knows as well as you do that this victory is fragile. The people have heard your words, but words alone won't sustain their faith. You must now act. You've stirred something in them, Your Majesty, Everard says, his voice low, almost hesitant. But words can fade. They can become nothing more than echoes. The real challenge begins now. You look at him, meeting his gaze with a firm resolve. I know, Everard, but they need to see that change is not just a promise. It's a reality that's starting today. I won't fail them. He nods slowly, the weight of his own concerns mirrored in his expression. I'll make sure the council knows what's coming. The reforms are starting now, but they'll be watching every step you take. The nobles won't be passive much longer. You turn back to face the crowd, their applause still ringing in your ears, and for the first time you feel a spark of something deep within you. It's not just hope, it's determination, a fire that refuses to be extinguished. Prepare for the next steps, you tell Everard, your voice firm, no trace of doubt left in it. We have to make these changes real and fast. The people need to see it, the nobles need to feel it, and I need to prove that we can rebuild this kingdom. As Everard walks away, you stay in the courtyard for a moment longer, watching the faces of the people who have gathered, now filled with anticipation. They're looking to you. For the first time, you don't feel the weight of their expectations crushing you. You feel the weight of their hopes, their future, and it pushes you forward, filling you with resolve. The road ahead will be long and fraught with obstacles. The reforms will be hard to implement, the resistance will be fierce. But this moment, this step forward, marks the beginning of something new, something worth fighting for. The fight for the soul of the kingdom has only just begun, but for the first time you feel ready. You will lead them, you will rebuild, and you will not stop until the kingdom is as it should be. The days after the council meeting blur together in a whirlwind of preparations, meetings, and decisions. You can feel the weight of the choices you've made pressing on you with every step. The nobles remain cautious, perhaps still unsure, but there's no doubt that you've made an impression. Some of them will resist, some will challenge you, but they know, as you do, that the future is uncertain. And no matter how hard they try to keep things the way they've always been, the momentum you've set in motion can't be stopped. You've stepped into a role you weren't fully prepared for, and yet, in many ways, it's exactly what you were meant to do. Leading this kingdom, rebuilding it, will not be easy, but you can't turn back now. The road ahead will be treacherous, the nobles will test you, the people will demand results, and there will be moments when doubt creeps in. But you've already made a promise, not just to the people, but to yourself. Each day, as you step into the council chamber or make your way through the streets, the weight of the crown feels both heavier and lighter. You are no longer just a king with power, you are a king with purpose. A king who must prove that his actions will match his words, that change is possible, and that the kingdom can be rebuilt with justice and fairness at its core. The next day, you meet with the people again, this time in a more formal setting. The crowd is eager, hopeful, but you can see the wariness in their eyes. They've heard promises before, they've been told that change was coming, but now they want to see it, not in speeches, but in tangible actions that affect their lives. You take your place before them, and the weight of their expectations is almost suffocating. They are looking to you, not just for leadership, but for hope. You clear your throat, steeling yourself for what comes next. I've spoken before about change, you begin, your voice firm and resolute. But today, I am here to show you that change is no longer a promise. It is happening. The reforms that we've spoken of, the systems that have held us back for so long, will be dismantled. The old ways are no longer enough. The kingdom will belong to the people. Every voice will matter. And from this moment on, we will build a future where justice and opportunity are not just for the few, but for all. A murmur ripples through the crowd, and this time it's not doubt, but anticipation. They want to see action, and you can't afford to disappoint them. We will begin with the redistribution of resources. No more shall the wealthy sit idle, untouched by the struggles of the common folk. A new tax system will be put in place, one that ensures the wealth of the kingdom benefits everyone, not just those who have always held it. You will have a voice in the decisions that shape this land. And above all, you will no longer be ignored. As you speak, you can see the faces in the crowd begin to shift. There's hope, yes, but there's also skepticism. Can you really deliver? Can the changes be sustained? This will not be an easy path, you continue, and there will be those who resist, those who will try to hold on to the old ways, but we will not stop, we will not be swayed, and we will not back down. The crowd is silent for a moment, but then, slowly, the sound of applause begins. At first tentative, then stronger, louder. You can feel the power of it in your chest, a steady drumbeat of faith from the people who are beginning to believe. This is the beginning, and you have to keep the momentum going. As you leave the courtyard, the roar of the crowd still echoing in your ears, you feel a flicker of something deep inside you. Hope, mixed with the knowledge that the real work has just begun. The people are watching, the nobles are waiting, and the path forward is fraught with dangers you've yet to fully understand. But for the first time in a long while, you know what you're fighting for. The kingdom will change. The people will have their voice, and you will lead them, no matter what it costs. The days that follow feel like a race against time. The whispers grow louder, the tension more palpable. Every step you take feels like it could trigger the collapse of everything you've fought for, but you press on, determined. The kingdom is fragile, the balance between progress and tradition hanging by a thread. The people, restless and eager for change, grow impatient, while the nobles plot and scheme in the shadows. Your position, though solid in principle, is tenuous at best. You can hear their voices in your head, the people demanding results, the nobles questioning your every move. But as the days pass, you find that you're growing more certain of your purpose. This is what you signed up for. This is the path you've chosen. And no matter how steep the climb, you will not back down. You've made your decision, and now it's time to act. Everard remains your constant companion, though there's a visible weariness in his eyes. The pressure is weighing on him too. He's seen the signs, felt the strain of navigating this delicate landscape, and though he's loyal to you, even he can't help but notice the cracks forming in the facade of your kingdom. "We're running out of time, Your Majesty," he says one morning, his tone uncharacteristically urgent. The protests are growing more organized. We've seen leaders rising from the shadows, factions aligning themselves with the more radical elements. We need to show them that we're moving forward, that the reforms are real, or we risk losing everything. You meet his eyes, sensing the gravity in his words. "What do you suggest?" "We've already talked about public works," he says, a hint of frustration creeping into his voice. "But we need to be bold, Your Majesty. We can't afford to look hesitant anymore. We need to take immediate action, build something that the people can feel. We need to show them we're working for them, that we hear their cries, that we're putting their needs first." You consider this, weighing the options. The nobles will never be pleased, but they are too distracted by their own ambitions to stop you. And the people, they're waiting for a reason to believe, to trust you again. They need to see something tangible, not just empty promises. "All right," you say finally after a long pause. "Let's move forward with the public works. We'll start with the basics. Infrastructure, roads, local markets, the things that will have an immediate impact. But it needs to be more than just a show. We need to involve the people directly, give them a role in this transformation, let them feel like they have a stake in it." Everard nods, his expression a mix of relief and concern. I'll have the details worked out, Your Majesty, but we'll need to move quickly. The nobles won't sit idly by forever, and the people's patience is wearing thin. We need to make sure we have the support of both sides, or the kingdom could fracture completely. Get it done, you reply firmly. I want action. I want the first phase of the plan rolling out in the next few weeks. And make sure we're communicating directly with the people. They need to know that we're listening to them, that this is their kingdom too. As Everard leaves to start organizing, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. The plan is set in motion, but you know that this is only the first step. There will be more obstacles ahead, more resistance from the nobles, more pressure from the people, but you're prepared to face them. For the first time in days, you sleep a little easier. There's still a storm on the horizon, but now you've taken the first step to weather it. The future of the kingdom is uncertain, but you are determined to shape it. You fought for change, and now you will show the kingdom that you're not just a king of words, but a king of action. The game has only just begun, and you're playing for everything. The council room is thick with an oppressive silence after your declaration. The air feels dense, as if every word spoken has changed the very fabric of the kingdom. The nobles shift uncomfortably in their seats, their eyes darting from one another, but they don't meet your gaze. Lord Ashford, the man who has dominated this kingdom for so long, sits motionless, his face an unreadable mask. You've struck a nerve, but you can't afford to show any doubt now. Lord Ashford clears his throat, his voice carefully measured as he looks at you, a glimmer of respect, or perhaps something more dangerous flashing in his eyes. You speak of the people, Your Majesty, but the people do not understand the consequences of what you propose. It is easy to rally them with promises, but when the dust settles and they see the chaos that follows, you will be left to face it alone. His words hang in the air, but you remain silent. He's trying to push your buttons to make you falter. He's attempting to make you doubt yourself, but you know the truth. He fears you. He fears that the old order is crumbling and that you might be the one to bring it down for good. He's not trying to save the kingdom. He's trying to save himself. The people have waited long enough for change, you say, your voice calm, unwavering. They do not need to understand the intricacies of court politics or the old power structures. They need to see that their voices matter, that their suffering is not ignored any longer, and I will make sure they see that. The room is still, but the nobles' expressions have shifted. Some are defensive, others appear conflicted, and a few are plainly intrigued by your resolve. You know this is only the beginning, but this is the moment when you solidify your stance. You have to show them that you are not just a figurehead, that you're a king who will shape the future of this kingdom, even if it means breaking with the past. Lord Ashford sighs, his shoulders slumping slightly, though his gaze remains sharp. You are not wrong to want change, Your Majesty, he says quietly, but be careful. We are on a precipice. Push too hard, and the kingdom may fall apart. If we continue as we are, you respond firmly, the kingdom will fall apart anyway. This is not just about power, Lord Ashford. This is about justice. It is about creating a future where the people have a voice, a future that does not rely on exploitation. You want stability? Then give the people what they've been asking for. Because if we do not, we will find ourselves back in this very room, fighting the same battles over and over. There's a long pause as your words sink in. The nobles around the table exchange glances, some still hesitant, others unsure how to proceed. You can feel the weight of the moment, the crossroads where the kingdom stands, teetering between the old world and the new. But you know which direction you must take. Lord Ashford leans back in his chair, his expression thoughtful, but you see the subtle shift in his demeanor. Perhaps it's a hint of acceptance, though grudging. Perhaps it's a recognition that you won't be easily swayed. He lets out a deep breath and speaks again, his voice slower this time. We will support the reforms, Your Majesty, but understand this, we are watching, and so are the people. You nod once, acknowledging his words, but you know that support is fragile. The nobles may have agreed to the reforms for now, but that could change. The real test will come when they see how far you're willing to push, and when they feel their control slipping further. But for now, you've won this battle. I am not afraid of their scrutiny, you say, your tone resolute. The kingdom will change, whether they accept it or not. I will lead this kingdom into a new era, and nothing will stand in my way. With that, you stand, signaling the end of the meeting. The nobles rise reluctantly, some with lingering resentment, others more subdued, but they know now that the balance of power has shifted. They may not be fully with you, but they understand that the kingdom is no longer theirs to control. As you leave the council chamber, the weight of the moment settles on your shoulders once again. The battle is far from over, but you've made your stand. You've shown them that you will not back down, that you will fight for the future of the kingdom. The reforms have begun, and the people are watching. They're waiting to see if you can deliver, to see if the promises you've made will be kept. The road ahead will be long and fraught with challenges. But as you walk through the corridors of the castle, you feel a sense of purpose you haven't felt in a long time. The pressure is immense, but you know one thing for certain: you won't stop. You won't stop until the kingdom is rebuilt, until the people have what they deserve. The game has only just begun, and you're ready to lead it. The kingdom is simmering, and you can feel the heat of it rising around you. After your speech to the people, the hope in the air feels palpable, but it's fragile like the calm before a storm. The streets are still filled with restless energy, murmurs of unrest bubbling under the surface. You can't ignore the weight of the promise you made to them, to deliver change, to be the king they've been waiting for. But every decision, every step you take forward feels like walking on a razor's edge. One wrong move, and everything could come crashing down. The court, still filled with tension, mirrors the state of the kingdom. The nobles, particularly Lord Ashford, have not let go of their grip on power, even as they feign support for your reforms. They're watching for any sign of weakness, any opportunity to regain control, and every move you make is carefully scrutinized. They've begun to gather, forming quiet alliances, tightening their grip behind closed doors. Their resistance is subtle, but it's there, simmering just below the surface. And then there's Lady Renwick, the pragmatist. She's more circumspect in her opposition, but her growing unease is evident. She wants change, but only as long as it doesn't challenge the status quo too much. She sees the kingdom's future as one where both the people and the nobility thrive together. But you know the truth? The old power structures must be dismantled, not preserved. If the kingdom is to truly move forward, change cannot be negotiated. The real test has yet to come. The first phase of your reforms has begun, but the people demand more. They want it all. They want their lives to change, their burdens lifted, and they want it now. But change takes time, and the weight of that responsibility hangs heavy on your shoulders. The promises you've made can't be fulfilled overnight. Yet every hour that passes without visible results chips away at the trust they've placed in you. It's a cool morning when Everard enters your chambers, his usual composed demeanor now strained, his steps quicker, his eyes more intense than usual. You already know that something is wrong, but you wait for him to speak. Your Majesty, Everard begins, his voice betraying the seriousness of the situation. There's been more unrest. The protests have grown in scale. The people want action, and they want it now. Some of the more radical factions have taken to the streets, calling for the immediate dismantling of the old system. They want justice, they want equality, and they want the nobility to pay for their centuries of exploitation. You feel a tightness in your chest. This was always going to happen. The seeds of revolution were planted the moment you began speaking of change, but it was never supposed to reach this point. The people are growing impatient. Their anger is boiling over, and you know they're ready to rise up against the very system you've been trying to reform. What do we know about the leaders of these factions? You ask, already bracing yourself for the answer. Everard hesitates. It's a coalition of workers, merchants, and some of the lower nobility. They're gaining momentum fast. The protests are spreading from the towns to the cities, and they're becoming more organized. It's a movement now, Your Majesty, and they're calling for you to meet with them. You feel the weight of his words sink in. The people want action, but you've been trying to give them something sustainable. A revolution of sorts. A kingdom where power isn't hoarded by the few, but shared by the many. But the reality of that vision, the road to it, is much more complicated than a simple show of force. The nobles will see this as a direct challenge. They will see it as a sign of weakness. I'll meet with them, you say finally, the decision firming in your mind. But we cannot give them what they want immediately. If we do, it will lead to chaos. I'll offer them a compromise, a promise that we are on their side, but we must take control of the situation before it spirals out of hand. Everard nods, though his expression remains troubled. They're demanding more than just promises, Your Majesty. They're demanding the nobles pay for their greed. They want justice, but they also want retribution. You pause, taking in what he said. Justice and retribution are dangerous things to promise. The people want blood. They want to see the powerful brought low, to feel as though they've finally been heard. But you know that taking that path would mean sacrificing everything you've been working for. It would tear the kingdom apart. If the nobles are ousted without a plan, it could lead to anarchy. There must be a middle ground, something that satisfies the people's hunger for change while maintaining order. You're right, you say, your voice low and determined. We'll make changes. We'll speed up the reforms, but we'll do it on our terms, not theirs. I won't let the nobles destroy this kingdom, but I also won't let the people be led astray by those who seek to tear it apart. Everard watches you carefully, his face filled with quiet respect but also concern. They'll demand more after this, and once the blood is spilled, the tides may turn against you. You nod, acknowledging the reality of what lies ahead. I know, but if we show them that we're listening, that we're not just giving them empty promises, we can take control of the situation. We can use this moment to solidify our position, to unite the kingdom under a new banner, not one of power, but of justice. Everard looks at you for a long moment, then nods. I'll begin preparing for the meeting, but Your Majesty, be careful. The path you've chosen will not be easy. The people want action, and they will not be satisfied with words alone. I'm prepared, you say, the certainty in your voice surprising even yourself. But I need you with me, Everard. You've always been my guide through these treacherous waters. This will be no different. As Everard leaves to prepare for the next stage of your plan, you stand by the window, gazing out at the city below. The streets are bustling, but the unease is still palpable. You can feel the weight of the kingdom on your shoulders, the weight of the hopes and fears of the people, the nobles, and the future. The path ahead is uncertain. The revolution, if it can even be called that, is teetering on the edge of chaos. But you know this. The kingdom has to change. There's no turning back. If you can't lead them now, if you can't hold their faith, the kingdom you fought for will be lost to time. You will make your stand, not for the throne, but for the people, for their future. You've already taken the first step, and now you must follow through, no matter what it costs. The future of the kingdom depends on it. The tension in the air is thick, almost suffocating, as you step onto the balcony overlooking the city square. The people are gathered below, a mass of faces filled with both hope and fear, their murmurs rising like a soft, uneasy hum. You can feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on you, but you cannot afford to show weakness. You have come this far, and now you must prove that the kingdom's future lies with the people, not with the old ways. Everard stands behind you, his presence a reminder of the stakes. He doesn't need to speak for you to understand the concern in his eyes. He knows as well as you do that this moment is pivotal. This is the breaking point. If you falter here, if you fail to convince the people that you're truly committed to change, then the entire kingdom could collapse under the weight of its own disillusionment. The nobles are already gathering their forces in the shadows, watching, waiting for you to slip. They won't hesitate to strike the moment they see a crack. You take a deep breath, gathering your strength. This is your moment. You are no longer just a figurehead. You are the king the people need, the king who will bring real change. You can't back down now. You can't afford to show the slightest crack in your resolve. As you step forward, the crowd below grows silent, their collective breath held in anticipation. It's as if the entire kingdom is waiting for you to speak, to make the next move. You raise your hand, signaling for silence, and the murmur of voices dies down, the weight of their eyes now focused solely on you. The words come to you, not as carefully crafted speeches, but as the truth of everything you've seen, everything you've promised, and everything you intend to do. You don't need to rehearse this. You've lived it. You've felt it in your bones. I stand before you today not as a king bound by tradition, but as a king bound by a duty to this kingdom and to its people. You begin, your voice strong, unwavering. I know there are those who doubt me. I know there are those who fear the changes I've promised. But hear me now. I will not turn away from my commitment. I will not retreat into the safety of the old ways. This kingdom belongs to all of us, not just the powerful few who have hoarded it for centuries. It is time for the people to take their place at the table. The crowd stirs, some nodding, some still uncertain. But the energy is shifting, slowly, from fear to something else. Maybe hope, maybe anger, but something more than passive discontent. You can feel it building. For too long, the wealthy and powerful have held this kingdom in their grip, you continue, your words gaining strength with every sentence. For too long, the voices of the common folk, the laborers, the farmers, the merchants have been ignored, but no more. We are not just subjects, we are citizens, and we will no longer be treated as second class. A cheer rises from the crowd, tentative at first, then growing louder, stronger. The people are responding, but you know they still need more than words. They need to see that you are serious, that you will fight for them. I have already begun the reforms, you say, your tone softening but firm. But this is just the beginning. The path ahead is not an easy one. There will be those who resist, who will try to undermine these changes. They will tell you that things cannot be done, that we cannot afford the cost of progress. But I promise you this, I will not let their fear, their greed, dictate the future of this kingdom. The cheers grow louder now, more unified. You can feel the weight of your words sinking in, and for the first time, you allow yourself to believe that maybe, just maybe, the kingdom is ready for what you've promised. But even as the crowd cheers, you know that the true battle is only just beginning. They will try to stop us, you say, your voice hardening. The old guard will resist. They will fight to keep what they've taken from you, to keep you under their thumb. But we are stronger than they think. The future of this kingdom is ours to shape. The future of this kingdom belongs to the people. The roar of the crowd is deafening now, a sound of unity and hope. You've done it. You've ignited something in them, a spark of belief, a spark of power. But you know the hardest part is yet to come. The nobles will push back, they will fight you every step of the way, and the people will look to you for strength, for leadership. As the cheers die down, you take a moment to let the weight of the moment sink in. This is it. This is where your reign will either solidify or fall apart. You cannot afford to fail. You must stand firm, and you must deliver on your promise. I am not your king because of blood, nor because of birthright, you say, the final words of your speech coming slowly, but with an unmistakable sense of clarity. I am your king because I choose to fight for you. I am your king because I will not allow the old ways to destroy us. We are the future. We are the kingdom. And together we will build something better. The crowd erupts into applause, and for the first time in weeks, you allow yourself a moment of relief. The people are with you, but even as the cheers echo in your ears, you know the real work is ahead. You've ignited the fire, but now you must stoke it, keep it alive, and lead it to the future you've promised. The kingdom is changing. The old guard may resist, but the people have spoken, and they are ready to follow you. Now you will lead them, through the storm, through the chaos, and into a new dawn for the kingdom. The path is uncertain, the challenges are immense, but you will not turn back. Not now, not ever. The morning air is crisp as you make your way to the city square, the sound of your footsteps echoing in the silence of the palace halls. You've spent the past few hours preparing, mentally bracing for the meeting with the people, the same people who have been waiting for you to deliver on your promises. You can feel the weight of their expectations, their hopes, their fears, all pressing down on your shoulders. The nobles are a threat, but the people, they are both your strength and your test. Everard is with you, walking silently by your side. He's not speaking, but you can tell that he's just as anxious as you are. The kingdom is on the verge of something monumental, and neither of you knows whether it will be a turning point for the better or the beginning of a downward spiral. The unrest in the streets is real, and it's growing. The people are tired of promises that never come to fruition. They want change, but change takes time. The fine line between progress and chaos has never been so thin. As you step into the square, the crowd is waiting. They're not cheering. There's no applause. There's only a heavy silence, a sea of faces watching you with a mixture of hope and suspicion. Some are eager for your leadership, but others, the radicals, are waiting for you to act on their demands. Their eyes are filled with the kind of hope that could easily turn to anger. You've promised them change, but now it's time to show them that you're capable of delivering it. You step up to the platform at the center of the square, your heart pounding in your chest, the weight of the crown suddenly feeling heavier than it ever has. The crowd shifts, a low murmur rising as you stand there, unsure of what comes next. But you've never been more certain of anything in your life. This is the moment when you prove that you are the king they've been waiting for. This is where the change begins, where you take control of the future, their future. People of the kingdom, you begin, your voice ringing out steady and clear. I stand before you today, not just as your king, but as your ally, your protector, and your leader. I know that the past has failed you. I know that for too long, the powerful few have held this kingdom hostage, while the rest of you have suffered in silence. But I tell you now, those days are over. The reforms I have promised are not just words. They are the foundation of a new kingdom, one where justice is not a privilege for the wealthy, but a right for all. The crowd is quiet as your words settle over them, the air thick with anticipation. You can see the doubt in some faces, the skepticism in others. They've heard promises before and they've been let down. You know that your words alone won't be enough. You need to prove that you are different, that you mean what you say. I will not turn away from the changes we've begun, you continue, your voice growing more resolute with each word. The wealth of this kingdom will no longer be concentrated in the hands of the few. The people will have the power they deserve. This kingdom will be one where every voice is heard, every need is met, and every person is treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. The time for compromise is over. The time for real change is now. A murmur ripples through the crowd, but you can feel it. The people are listening now. They're waiting for you to show them that this time will be different, that you will lead them, not just with words, but with actions. But I need your help, you say, your tone shifting, softer but still firm. This kingdom cannot be rebuilt by one man alone. I cannot do this without the support of each and every one of you. The road ahead will not be easy. The nobles will resist. They will try to tear us apart to stop the changes we need, but together we are stronger. Together we will rise above their greed. Together we will rebuild this kingdom. You pause, letting your words sink in, watching the crowd closely. There's no turning back now. The people are with you. You can see it in their eyes. They're ready for the fight, and so are you. The real battle is only beginning, but you're not afraid. You've made the decision to fight for them, and you'll keep that promise no matter the cost. We will fight for this kingdom, you declare, your voice rising with the weight of your conviction. We will fight for the future of our children, for the future of our people, and we will fight for justice no matter how long it takes. The crowd erupts, a roar of approval that fills the square, echoing off the stone buildings around you. For a moment, you feel a flicker of hope. Hope that this kingdom can truly be saved, that the change you fought for is within reach. But you know better than to get complacent. This is just the beginning. The people are with you now, but you have a long road ahead. The nobles are still plotting, still resisting, and there will be challenges, more than you can count. But for now, this moment is yours. You raise your hand in a final gesture of unity. The time for change is now, you say, your voice steady, unwavering, and we will not stop until it's done. The cheers rise again, deafening this time, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you allow yourself a moment of relief. The people are with you, and that's all that matters. For now, you've proven yourself to them. But tomorrow, the real work begins. The days after your speech are filled with a whirlwind of activity, but underneath the surface, you feel the kingdom's pulse quicken. The people's fervor is still fresh in your mind, their cheers, their hope, their belief that things are finally changing. But with that hope comes something else, something darker, the weight of expectations. You can feel it in the air, thick and heavy. The people are watching, but so are the nobles. They are waiting for you to slip, to make a mistake, and they won't hesitate to use it against you. You've taken the first step, but now you need to follow through. The reforms are underway, but the pressure to deliver is suffocating. It's one thing to promise change, but it's another to make that promise real. Every decision you make, every move you take, feels like it could set off a chain reaction that you won't be able to control. The noble factions are already pushing back. Some are using subtlety, quietly undermining you behind closed doors, while others are bolder in their defiance. They know that if they can weaken your resolve, the kingdom will slip back into the old ways. They won't let go of their power without a fight. Everard walks beside you, the silence between you heavy with unspoken understanding. He doesn't need to say it. You both know what's at stake. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but you've come this far. You can't turn back now. "You've done well, Your Majesty," Everard says quietly, his voice measured. The speech stirred the people, but the real challenge comes now. The nobles are already rallying, and if we don't act quickly, their resistance could fracture the momentum you've built. You nod, the weight of his words sinking in. "I know. They're not just going to step aside. We need to move fast, keep the pressure on. If we show any sign of weakness, it'll all unravel." Everard agrees, his eyes narrowing in thought. "But we must be strategic. You can't give everything at once, or they'll see it as a sign of desperation. You need to show them that this isn't just a temporary shift, that this kingdom will not return to the way it was." The words hit you harder than you expect. The temptation to act quickly, to give the people everything they want in one fell swoop, is strong. But you know that would be a mistake. You can't risk alienating the very people you're trying to help. You need to show them that the changes will be lasting, that the new kingdom will be one built on justice and equality, not just fleeting reforms. "I will," you reply, more to yourself than to Everard. "We'll move carefully but firmly. The nobles want to fight, but I'll make sure it's one they'll regret." As you approach the council chamber, you feel the familiar weight of authority settle over you. The moment is here. You know what you must do, and though the stakes are higher than they've ever been, there's no turning back. You enter the room where the nobles are waiting, their expressions unreadable. Lord Ashford is there, as expected, his posture rigid, his eyes filled with the same quiet defiance. He's not here to listen. He's here to challenge you. "You've gathered us here, Your Majesty," he begins, his voice smooth, almost condescending. "To discuss what? More reforms? More promises of change? You've had your moment with the people, but now it's time to focus on what truly matters, the kingdom's stability." You don't flinch. "Stability?" You say, your voice cutting through the air. "You want stability? Then I suggest you start listening to the people. This kingdom will no longer be stable at the expense of the many for the benefit of the few." The nobles shift in their seats, uneasy, some of them exchanging wary glances. Lord Ashford narrows his eyes, but you can see the hesitation beneath his anger. He's not sure how far you're willing to go, and that uncertainty is your advantage. "You have the crown, Your Majesty," he says, his tone shifting ever so slightly. "But you do not have the kingdom. And no matter how many speeches you make, no matter how many reforms you promise, the people will demand more. And when they do, will you still stand by them?" You hold his gaze, unwavering. "I will stand by the people, Lord Ashford, and I will make sure they're never ignored again. The reforms will continue, and they will succeed. And if you stand in the way of that, it's not just the crown you'll lose, it's everything." For a moment, the room is silent, and you can feel the tension building, thick and heavy. But as you look around the room, you see it, the flicker of doubt in their eyes. They didn't expect you to fight back like this. They didn't expect you to show this level of resolve. "We will move forward," you declare, your voice steady. "The reforms will happen and the kingdom will change. I am not afraid of what comes next. But if you try to stop me, I will show you that the people are stronger than any of you." The nobles shift uncomfortably, some of them exchanging looks, but none of them challenge you. Not yet. You've shown them that you won't back down, that you will fight for the people, no matter what the cost. And for now, that's enough. As you leave the chamber, you can feel the weight of your words, the weight of the battle ahead. The kingdom is on the edge of something new, something better. But it's not over yet. The real work starts now. You've proven that you can lead, but you must show the nobles and the people that you can deliver. The kingdom is yours to shape, and you will shape it, no matter the cost. The days after the council meeting pass in a blur, each one more taxing than the last. The nobles, though subdued for now, are still simmering beneath the surface, their resistance masked by careful diplomacy. Lord Ashford continues to play the part of the concerned advisor, but you can see through it. His eyes are always calculating, always looking for the slightest crack in your resolve. Lady Renwick is quieter, watching from the shadows, biding her time, but you sense she's more worried than she lets on. Meanwhile, the people are starting to feel the weight of the reforms. Some are pleased, seeing their voices finally being heard, while others, the more radical factions, are impatient. They demand more, faster, bolder change. It's a delicate balance. You promise them a better future, but you're beginning to realize that it's not enough to simply promise it. You need to show them, deliver results, or risk losing their trust altogether. Everard remains your most trusted ally, but even he can't mask his concern. He's been by your side through every decision, every moment of doubt, and now he's beginning to see the cracks in the kingdom's foundation. He understands the gravity of your situation, but he also knows how dangerous it is to push too hard, too fast. The road ahead will be paved with challenges, and not all of them will be within your control. "You can't keep walking this tightrope forever, Your Majesty," Everard says one evening, his voice low and cautious. The people are starting to lose patience. The nobles are watching for any sign of weakness. You need to decide what you're willing to risk and how much you're willing to give. You pause, considering his words. You've known all along that this would be a long fight, but now, with each passing day, it feels like the weight of the world is bearing down on you. The stakes are higher than they've ever been. The kingdom is on the edge of something. You can feel it in your bones, the moment when it will either all come crashing down or it will change forever. "I've made my choice," you reply, your voice steady, though a flicker of doubt crosses your mind. "The people come first, but I can't let the nobles turn this into chaos. We need to push forward, but we need to do it carefully. We have to stay one step ahead." Everard nods, but there's something in his eyes that tells you he's not sure if you're ready for what's coming. You're treading dangerous ground, but there's no turning back now. The kingdom needs you to lead them, to fight for them, but at what cost? As the sun sets, you stand at the window, looking out over the kingdom. It feels as if everything is on the brink, teetering between change and collapse. The people's trust is in your hands, but so is the future of the kingdom. The next few weeks will determine everything. What kind of king will you be? The one who holds on to power for himself, or the one who sacrifices it all for the future of the people? The answer, is already clear. You will fight for them, no matter what it takes. The air feels thicker in the castle these days, heavy with the tension that has become a constant presence in every room, every hall. It's as if the walls themselves are holding their breath, waiting for the next move, the next misstep. The nobles are still playing their games, their influence lurking in the background, but there's a crack in their veneer. They're worried about the reforms, about the people, about the future of the kingdom. Everard hasn't left your side for more than a few hours, always there with counsel, with reminders of the careful steps you must take. But even he is showing signs of strain. His eyes have a weariness now that wasn't there before, the weight of his loyalty to you and the kingdom pulling at him. He knows what you're up against, the future of the kingdom, your reign, everything you've worked for. It's all teetering on the edge of uncertainty. "Your Majesty," Everard says one evening, breaking the silence between you. There's word from the eastern provinces. The people are restless. The promises of change are starting to feel like hollow words. They want results, not speeches. And if we don't show them something real soon, we could lose the momentum we've built. You exhale slowly, rubbing your temples. The weight of his words hits harder than expected. You know the people are growing impatient. You've promised them a future of fairness, of a system that works for everyone. But you also know that real change is never as quick or as neat as people want it to be. The system you're trying to dismantle has been in place for centuries. Removing it isn't as simple as just tearing it down. It's a delicate process, one that needs careful planning and time. but the time is running out. The nobles, you begin, your voice low, they're biding their time. They're watching every move we make. They'll strike if they think we're weak. Everard nods, his expression grim. They won't hesitate. They're already gathering their strength in the shadows, but they're not the only threat. The people are watching too. If we fail them, it won't just be the court we're fighting against. It will be the kingdom itself. A cold silence fills the room. You've never felt the weight of your decisions so intensely. The nobles, the people, everyone is waiting for you to either succeed or fail. You can't afford to make a mistake. The future of the kingdom is in your hands, and every choice you make will echo through the years, either building a stronger future or tearing it all apart. I won't fail them, you say quietly, more to yourself than to Everard. I promise change, and I will deliver it. But we need to act decisively. No more hesitation. Everard watches you, his gaze searching. What's the plan, Your Majesty? You look out the window at the kingdom that stretches beyond the castle walls. The city is alive with the hope of change, but you know it won't be enough to hold the tide back. The people need to see it, feel it, before it's too late. You turn back to Everard, resolve settling in your chest. We show them, you say, your voice gaining strength. We show them that we're committed. We push forward with the reforms, yes, but we also start taking more visible action, public projects, economic support, something tangible. We need to prove to them that change is real and it's happening now. Everard nods, clearly understanding the gravity of your decision. And the nobles? We'll keep them in line for now, you reply. But if they push too far, we'll show them that they have no place in a kingdom built on justice. The room feels different now, as if the air is clearing, the path ahead becoming just a little bit more visible. It won't be easy, but it's the only way forward. The kingdom may be fractured, but it can be healed. You will make sure of it. The fight isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. But you're ready. The air feels thicker in the castle these days, heavy with the tension that has become a constant presence in every room, every hall. It's as if the walls themselves are holding their breath, waiting for the next move, the next misstep. The nobles are still playing their games, their influence lurking in the background, but there's a crack in their veneer. They're worried about the reforms, about the people, about the future of the kingdom. Everard hasn't left your side for more than a few hours, always there with counsel, with reminders of the careful steps you must take. But even he is showing signs of strain. His eyes have a weariness now that wasn't there before, the weight of his loyalty to you and the kingdom pulling at against. The future of the kingdom, your reign, everything you've worked for, it's all teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Your Majesty, Everard says one evening, breaking the silence between you. There's word from the eastern provinces. The people are restless. The promises of change are starting to feel like hollow words. They want results, not speeches. And if we don't show them something real soon, we could lose the momentum we've built. You exhale slowly, rubbing your temples. The weight of his words hits harder than expected. You know the people are growing impatient. You've promised them a future of fairness, of a system that works for everyone. But you also know that real change is never as quick or as neat as people want it to be. The system you're trying to dismantle has been in place for centuries. Removing it isn't as simple as just tearing it down. It's a delicate process, one that needs careful planning and time. But the time is running out. The nobles, you begin, your voice low, they're biding their time. They're watching every move we make. They'll strike if they think we're weak. Everard nods, his expression grim. They won't hesitate. They're already gathering their strength in the shadows. But they're not the only threat. The people are watching too. If we fail them, it won't just be the court we're fighting against. It will be the kingdom itself. A cold silence fills the room. You've never felt the weight of your decisions so intensely. The nobles, the people, everyone is waiting for you to either succeed or fail. You can't afford to make a mistake. The future of the kingdom is in your hands, and every choice you make will echo through the years, either building a stronger future or tearing it all apart. I won't fail them, you say quietly, more to yourself than to Everard. I promise change, and I will deliver it, but we need to act decisively. No more hesitation. Everard watches you, his gaze searching. What's the plan, Your Majesty? You look out the window at the kingdom that stretches beyond the castle walls. The city is alive with the hope of change, but you know it won't be enough to hold the tide back. The people need to see it, feel it, before it's too late. You turn back to Everard, resolve settling in your chest. We show them, you say, your voice gaining strength. We show them that we're committed. We push forward with the reforms, yes, but we also start taking more visible action. Public projects, economic support, something tangible. We need to prove to them that change is real and it's happening now. Everard nods, clearly understanding the gravity of your decision. And the nobles? We'll keep them in line for now, you reply. But if they push too far, we'll show them that they have no place in a kingdom built on justice. The room feels different now, as if the air is clearing, the path ahead becoming just a little bit more visible. It won't be easy, but it's the only way forward. The kingdom may be fractured, but it can be healed. You will make sure of it. The fight isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning, but you're ready. The next few days are a whirlwind of activity. You've made your decision. Now you must see it through. The nobles are digging their heels in, refusing to let go of their power, but you can feel the momentum shifting. The people are restless, but they're also watching, waiting for you to show them that you're not just another ruler with empty promises. The tension is palpable, like a storm on the horizon, ready to break at any moment. Everard remains by your side, though you can tell he's beginning to feel the pressure too. The weight of the kingdom's future presses on both of you, but there's no turning back now. You know you must push forward, not just for the people, but for the future of the entire kingdom. It's time to take control, to force the change you've promised, no matter what it costs. One morning, as you sit with Everard discussing the next phase of your plan, a messenger arrives. His face is pale, his expression urgent. Without waiting for permission, he hands you a letter sealed with the mark of Lord Ashford. You rip it open, your hands steady, but your mind racing with the possibilities of what this could mean. It's a challenge, a direct call for you to meet with Lord Ashford and the other nobles to discuss the future of the kingdom and the reforms. But as you read the words, you realize it's more than just a request. It's a test. They want to see if you'll bend, if you'll back down. They're trying to force you into a position where you have no choice but to compromise, to give in to their demands. You set the letter down slowly, meeting Everard's gaze. He knows what this means. They're trying to break you. I won't meet them on their terms, you say, the decision coming with an unexpected clarity. We'll keep moving forward. The people have spoken, the reforms are happening, and they're not negotiable. Everard doesn't speak for a moment, weighing your words. Then we prepare, we act fast. You nod, the fight is on, and you won't back down. This is your kingdom now, and it's time to prove it. The tension in the air thickens as you prepare for what lies ahead. The messenger's letter is still sitting on your desk, its bold challenge a reminder of just how high the stakes have become. The nobles, led by Lord Ashford, are pushing harder than ever to regain control, to quash the reforms before they can take root. You know they see this as a battle for their very survival, but what they don't understand is that this fight is no longer just about power. It's about the future of the kingdom. You gather your most trusted allies, Everard included, in the war room. The map of the kingdom sprawls before you, showing the various territories and power structures you must navigate. The nobles have their strongholds, their influence stretching across the land, but so do the people. Their strength lies not in wealth or land, but in unity, in the belief that they can finally be heard. And that, you think, is a force more powerful than any noble's title. We have to stay one step ahead of them, you say, your voice steady, but there's a fire burning within you. We push forward with the reforms. The people want results, and we need to show them that we're not backing down. But we do this smartly. We continue to act fast, hit them with what they don't expect. Public works, economic support, whatever it takes to make this movement unstoppable. Everard nods, his gaze sharp, understanding the urgency. But we also need to solidify our position with the people. They've given us their trust, but that trust is fragile. If the nobles push too hard, we risk losing them. You meet his eyes, fully aware of the risks. Then we must be ready to fight on all fronts, with the people with the nobles, and with ourselves. We'll give them no choice but to follow. The words settle in the room, heavy with the knowledge that the road ahead will be brutal. But for the first time in a long time, you feel a sense of purpose, a certainty that no matter what the cost, you will not be deterred. The kingdom is changing, and you will lead it into that change. There's no going back now. And there you have it, folks. Another chapter in our story, packed with twists and turns. But what do you think? Is the king making the right decisions, or is the kingdom about to crumble under the weight of his promises? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below, share your opinions, or even throw out some theories about what might happen next. Who knows? Your ideas could shape the story in ways we never saw coming. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this wild ride, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. There's so much more to come, and we can't wait to have you along for the journey. We've got plenty of surprises in store, and you'll want to be the first to know what happens next. Trust me, it's about to get even crazier. Thanks for tuning in today. Your support means the world to us. We'll be back with more of the story soon. Until then, stay tuned, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night, and don't forget, the kingdom's fate is still in the balance.